just a poor wayfaring stranger traveling through this world of woe. And there's no sickness, no toil, no danger in that bright land to which I'll go. Well, I'm going there to see my father. Well, I'm going there, no more to roam. I'm only going over hillside. I'm only going overgrown. Well, I know dark clouds will gather round me. I know my way is rough and steep, but golden fields lie just before me, where those who lay shall ever sleep. Well, I'm going there to see my mother and all my loved ones who moved on. I'm only going over hillside. I'm only going over home.
Pick the right one. Hello everyone and welcome back to Overgrown. We're on episode number 2 now. Oh, it feels like just last week we did the first episode. Yes. Hello, I'm Sheepdog. This is The Wandering Inn. This is Overgrown. And I have an intro. I have a Patreon read I have to read. So, excuse me one moment as I do this, and I wonder why is the... I think it's just like a really quiet song, so that's fine. This is an excerpt from the Journal of Lachlan Boxton, also known as Lockbox, an Innismore privateer turned pirate. It's been a while since we landed on Kelpie's Landing. Originally, we were supposed to stay longer before setting out. However, I'm now at a loss as to our direction going forward. Captain Longham is gone, and First Mate cum Captain Skeleton is in charge. The Castilians were hired to harass Argonne, and we are down a ship. Bowden and I suspect foul play, but without proof, I will not go forward unless Skeleton causes detriments to the crew and myself. My duty to keep all fed will be more difficult going forward, but I will ensure no one dies of starvation or scurvy on my watch. I must go now and prep for the party. God knows that half my chefs are shite. I plan to talk some others into helping me prep sturdier shelters with one ship, even if we wish to return to Avalon. We'll need to leave some behind till we can charter another ship. I also plan to retire after the return to Avalon with the money sent to my parents. I should have enough to buy a tavern and pay my dues. Should the others choose to continue on, I will wish them luck. Hopefully, my next entry will bear better news. May the winds carry us swiftly home. Lockbox. It is said that the full version of the events this journal is based on can be found on patreon.com/The Wandering Inn. This is one of my patrons wrote a little journal of his experiences in our first episode, the campaign session of our pirate game, where the captain of their privateer ship got killed, one of the ships got sunk, and they're now stranded on a deserted island in the equivalent of the Caribbean, with one ship left. So there you go. That is that's a lot better than the usual stuff patrons make me read. Usually it's talking about how terrible I am, how I make girls cry, and how I yeah, all that kind of thing. So there you go. Having said that, a really nice sidebar into, hey guys, do you know there is a Patreon? It is so far, we have actually hit the goal now for 2 shows a week. The cast pay is covered. Obviously, as I've said before, like, we're not going to dive directly in... Sorry, I'm playing with my ears. We're not going to dive directly into 2 shows immediately, because at the end of the day, if I start 2 shows, and then, you know, people suddenly, like... you know, cancel their pledges and stuff like that, I'm suddenly paying myself out of pocket going forward for 2 shows. So I'm gonna see if things stay stable for a little while. I'm starting to record shows for the second slot, which will be mostly recorded stuff, I think. I really like recorded shows. It's going very well so far. And we all know that Duakrama was a blast, so although I will say, I am not making Safi edit all of the videos for the recorded stuff, so just FYI, don't expect a Safi job. You're getting a Sheepy job, which basically means a lot worse. But maybe a few better song choices, just because I've got better musical sense than Safi. Hey, I just said you're so much better than me at everything else, so, you know.
I don't think you realize Safi is going to go see Taylor Swift, which means Safi's a Swiftie. And if you disrespect the Swifties, they will come for you. They will cut you.
This
don't
is
want
true.
that.
They will take your friendship bracelets.
They will.
I am fine with that. I reckon I can take Swifties.
Didn't you just say you
I
want
don't
to stop
know.
making girls cry?
Yeah.
Wow.
The
Taylor Swift raises the economy of nations by like millions and millions of dollars. I don't think you like 2 groups you don't want to get involved with: Swifties and the Beehive. You don't want to mess with them. You don't.
But yes.
Mark.
Yes, so aside from Taylor Swift being kind of mid,
Is it too late to back out?
no.
Keep moving. Keep moving.
What I also want to talk about is how mid Has Been Hotel is. So,
So he's not gonna kill Safi's character. He's just gonna kill her on screen with. Yeah.
I think I'm doing a speed run
This
of
is not-
Morale, excuse me.
This is not killing with kindness, Sheepy. This is just.
It's true, it's true. I think I'm
You
doing a
just-
speed run
I'm
of...
just worried about your safety.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about your safety, Sheepy. That's all.
Uh-oh. Look at that.
I mean, when Safi and I team up, it's pretty scary. So.
So...
Suicide by Safi. It's about right. See, the thing is, my understanding is, am I correct that Safi does the editing, which means that when you see this, if you are like backwards, have like strange, like your teeth blacked out and like weird filters on you, that'll be your own fault.
Well, so...
You'll have asked for that.
A, if my teeth are blacked out and look terrible, people will just assume I'm British, which is true. And so Safi does the video editing for things like intros and outros and stuff. The only time she's done a show is Duakrama, which elevated the entire show to, like, I'd say about 3 times its potential originally.
Every episode was a miniature movie.
Yes.
It was nearly 2
Yes.
hours long.
Yeah, and you've got like...
Did you have Taylor Swift as the theme music? Because
Yeah.
you said that she elevated it by like times 3, so there must have been like Taylor Swift in there, right?
Should we just fuck off the intro and just talk very quickly about the outro of Duakrama and our
Go on.
yeah.
Go on then.
So the outro of the last episode of the Duakrama Outlook, Safi sent to me.
No, it's spoilers.
No, it's the outro.
It's
the outro, like the credits.
okay.
The credits.
Okay.
So Safi sent it to me, and it was like the outro. The video is amazing. The song, I was like, I'm not sure it fits with what I'm going for. Interestingly, I don't think you could compare it to Taylor Swift, but it did have a very kind of like it was a great song, but it did sound to me very kind of like Safi's generation, let's call it, a bit younger, very boppy and very light-hearted and everything.
I chose that song because I was like, oh, sheepy will fucking dig this.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me
That's why I
wrong.
Because
chose
Sheepy's
it.
old.
Well, I'm trying to stay young. I did dig it, but I was like, I'm not sure for the outro. So I essentially threw over a few other ones. We finally decided on a song that was really good. I think it fits.
We finally decided on. No, what it came down to was we then sat in a group channel with some of the Patreons, and then he played both the songs for them and made them choose.
No. Do not
You know who
lie.
they're loyal to.
Do not lie. Do not lie, Safi. You came into the voice chat and you said, "Hey, Sheepy, play both of the songs for everyone. Let's see which they prefer." And it did not go well for Safi. Everyone preferred my song.
Because they're loyal to you. You bring them shows. Of course they're going to agree with you. I'm sorry to anyone who's watching
Yeah.
the actual video on YouTube.
Yes.
Someone in the comments will put a timestamp when the RP starts, I'm sure.
Please do that. So, regardless of whether Safi's wrong or I'm right,
You're wrong. Anyways,
that wasn't one of the options. It was Safi's wrong or I'm right. Those are the only two options.
I can make up my own options. I'm a trendsetter.
So, with all of that said, there's Twitter, there's Discord, there's go check out the Patreon, there's a website where you can go see all the shows. We're going to quite quickly get into it, because I have delayed long enough, and I do apologize. Last week we met Junior. Junior running around the hearth, essentially making sure everything got done. Doing jobs, and yeah. And Junior delivered a book to Gwynny, an owl. Is it a pygmy owl? Yes, a pygmy owl, who has a house up on the side of the walls of the hearth, big sandstone walls, which basically, for the most part, keep out the nature and the kind of encroaching trees and vines and all that kind of thing, the undergrowth. And had a little snack, had a tea, had a chat, then went on to meet a couple of the children animals that live with her in. I'm gonna have to pull up my notes. There we go. So it is it's not an orphanage. It's basically a communal house for kids whose parents are off with the wanderlust and with everything. And it is run by a mole called Aunt Marigold, who looks after them all. These kids were, I believe, Trag the mole and Mordalphus the ferret. They challenged Junior to a race. They raced all the way over to Applebrook Lodge, which is a little den on the edge of the hearth, but like right up against the wall, which Honey Mustley lives in, the badger. They challenged each other to climb up a tree. They started climbing up a tree. They got jump scared by a grumpy eye poking out from one of the windows, and Junior went in after a little bit to have a chat. After having a chat with Honey, I believe you went back to where you lived for a bit and met Sage. I believe it was Sage and Rog, the hedgehog. They were tasked with taking a few things over to the Colonel's place, and of course, Junior jumped at the opportunity to do more good deeds, to do more quests, let's say, and headed over to the Colonel's, where there was going to be a little bit of a gathering, get-together, story time for the kids, and essentially went there, got dressed down multiple times by the Colonel. Rog, I believe, had to get a special sheet out so he didn't scuff the Colonel's house or floor. And as I remember, it was actually pretty disheveled. There was like, I believe you had to put a book away. There was a book left lying around.
Well, more like the book was about off by about 5 degrees from the edge of from the angle of the table, which doesn't look right.
So pretty disheveled, you'd say.
Well, yes, but I fixed it right away, so it wasn't disheveled for very long.
I mean, standard slipping.
That's true. There's so much. It had so much going on. It was kind of a big to-do at the place, having all of my childhood friends coming about, and of course all the kids as well. Not that it was just as you have over at the barracks. That's all. It wasn't anything special or fancy or anything like that, but you know.
I mean, what would your chums and the long runners say?
My chums and the long runners that was a long time ago. By the way, I'm Trooper SJP, and I'm playing Dash, as my friends call me, or the Colonel, as other people call me, or Dashlington Hoppingwell, as my parents called me, but that's a whole other thing altogether. And I'm a long runner. It's like, can imagine like the Pony Express, but not with ponies, but with hares, ferrets.
Yeah, there are a few. Like it was formed by hares and predominantly I was gonna say manned, but I guess it's haired by hares.
That's right.
And yes, there was a little get together. Gwynny and Nay and Junior and a whole load of the kids, some of the adults, came round to the barracks, the Colonel's house, the Colonel's home, and they had a little bit of a dinner. Very nice. I believe it was it shrimp and watercress?
Chives.
Shrimp and chive.
Shrimp and
hot pots.
chives.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right.
you're
And then a carrot cake for dessert.
and a carrot cake for dessert, of course.
It's good for your eyes.
It's very
Carrot
good for
cakes.
us. And we got into a little bit of story time. We found out that the three, Gwynny, Nay, and Dash, which is the Colonel's actual name. Well, not actual name, but nickname for the actual name. They used to be part of call it an adventuring group, I guess. And went through some of their adventures with a mouse called Juniper, who currently isn't here. Eventually finding out that Juniper, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's a little bit up and down. I kind of feel like it was a mixture of sacrifice, but also just the desire to find new things. While trying to reach the mountain tree, a giant tree the size of a mountain that seems to move around the wilds. She decided to stay behind, or she sacrificed herself so that the rest could get away. I think.
Didn't she get the Wanderlust?
Yeah. I think probably at the time they were all fairly taken with the Wanderlust, so there was a lot of exploring, a lot of adventuring. There was defeating foul logs in the way of their path, and yes, which obviously obviously now we know, upset Junior, having heard this story for the first time about the disappearance of his mother in the wilds some decade or so back. At this point, Junior decided to set off himself to head out into the wild, head out towards the wilds maybe, and see about... You know what, this is a good moment just to dip into Junior's head here for a second. I'm assuming Junior's, let's call it quest or objective, would be to find his mother, yes?
That is the current plan with the provided information.
And while that is the obvious goal and desire and main objective, is there a part that is also looking forward to like getting out there, out of the hearth, into the wild, and like exploring, adventuring, along things along those lines?
I mean, there's only so much that can be done in the hearth itself, and Junior has a unique set of skills.
Yes.
Skills that could be more better used out in the wild.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, that makes sense. At that point, when that objective was stated, the adults, let's call them, of Gwenny, Nay, and Dash tried to dissuade Junior, to no avail. Essentially, it seemed that Junior was one way or another heading out away from the hearth and going after his mother. And they decided that not on their watch, kind of. They're going with Junior, so they're going to help, they're going to guide, maybe teach, and probably mostly protect and make sure that Junior doesn't, do anything silly or rash. So, the rest of the night played out fairly calmly. Everyone went off to bed, to sleep, perchance to dream, and we will return over with the camera kind of sweeping on a very zoomed out overshot of the, let's call it the countryside, of the forests, of the mountains in the background, sweeps over from the northern Gouge Range, which is a North Mountain Range, over past North Run, over the Slime Pit, which is a very marshy, swampy land. You have like weird stilted houses. It's a bit more open than the rest of the land, a lot less trees, a lot more kind of, underbrush, but mostly if you think of that place in Mordor that Gollum takes them, all the like bubbly water and that type of thing, looks a lot like that. And then down, following the river, past the dam, down out into the mouth of the river, out into the sea, and as the trees change from like a vibrant green to a kind of like gold and pink and yellow mess of leaves through eternal autumn, and then finally down into this desolate grey wasteland with skeleton trees, no leaves, the Bone Orchard. Swinging back up, we zoom back on the hearth, and we slowly come back down to the ground, past the trees, encroaching on the sides, and we come to the side of the wall, the inside of the wall, where there is quite a cozy, nice little almost like a cuckoo house, is I believe how I described it before. Where a slightly patchy looking bird has finally finished hopping up the multiple steps to the front door and has banged her beak on the front door there. Winnie, you, of course, it being your house, hear the knock and probably know who to expect. I think you did organize with Sage to have her come around.
Yes. Gwynny waddles up to the door, peeks it open. Come on in, dear. Hello.
Oh, okay. And Sage is, I would say, starting probably a little bit taller than you at this point. Sage is a barn owl, so eventually she'll be really big.
She'll be too big to fit in here.
Oh yeah, she probably won't even fit in. But for now, she kind of she fits it. She, no, she's not that big yet, and she comes in and kind of like looking around, and she says, "Sorry for still. I know that you have plans to leave now."
That's okay. I told the others we couldn't leave till I met with you.
Mm.
I'm sure that Junior's tapping on his little toes and ready, but we can wait.
Well, Junior is still asleep. For now.
I'm glad. Get some sleep. Certainly, normally I'm sleeping in the middle of the day.
And Sage kind of standing there in the sense of like kind of looks around. There's like books on different like chairs and etc.
You can move those books over there and come in and sit down, dear.
Oh, okay. And Sage kind of clacks over to one of the chairs, like the one with probably the least amount of books, which means just one pile of books, and just kind of like tries to flutter it, move it over to the side onto a table, and kind of perches on top of it, and kind of like looks around. And she says, "Are you ready to go with a Junior?"
I think so. I've got my traveling hat and my scarf, and I made extra candied walnuts and some candied acorns, and I made a lot of snacks. So, and I got a couple books.
Oh.
I hope the others don't mind carrying them. I've got some specifically for making things and trinkets and traps out in the wild so that we will be able to get that big tree this time.
And it seems like Sage is kind of, dodging around a little bit, or maybe just meandering around a little bit, but she says, when you went out with your friends before, what did you do in the group? How I have been thinking about if I was to go out, and I don't know how I would be helpful.
Well, I was helpful by making things. I did a lot of scouting, and I did a lot of making traps or trinkets and things to make jobs easier. I made a bridge, and I made a pulley system so that the others could sleep in the tree with me while it was safe where I watched, and so that we could get them up there.
I have never slept in a tree. I have not been able to. I can't. It is hard. I have not flown before. I'm worried that it's...
Wait, your mom should have taken you flying. Did you not go? I saw the others flying.
No, she left before I could start.
Oh.
As a little bit of a sidebar for you, Sage's mother left fairly early. She actually didn't live around here. She used to come down and visit, but she's actually she lives in the gouged range, the mountains to the north. And last you heard, she was planning with a few other birds to start trying to map out north of the gouge range. So they are most likely, the last you heard, just ranging around like the wilderness up there.
Okay. Well, does Dash have a group of birds learning to fly? Could you join? Dash is so wonderful at helping everybody.
Well, Dash is leaving too. And also Dash can't fly.
No, but doesn't Dash have other birds to help at the barracks? Have you asked? I know that Dash would do anything to be able to help someone teach you how to fly if I wasn't leaving in like 20 minutes. I would take you. I would
Oh.
love to take you for your first flight.
No, I think I need more time before I try. But
But the more time, the more it's going to be scary. The bigger you get, the harder it is to fly. So the sooner you learn, why don't we go outside?
No.
We're high enough
no.
up, we can glide down.
I
I'll put my hat on, I'll take my stuff, and we'll be ready.
I thought
And you can come down with me.
I thought maybe I would wait till my feathers came in fully, and then I would fly. Maybe I
This will
don't.
help your feathers. The wind helps the breeze of the feathers, and it itches all the spots that you can't get to. It feels so good.
I don't know. I don't really see why I need to fly. Is flying and
You don't see why you need to fly.
no, it is
It's a whole other world up there.
really.
Yeah. You can see everything. You can see everything that they describe in books. It's as if you're in a book while you're flying.
But
It's quiet.
what if I'm not good at flying?
Well, then you practice. No one's good at writing right away. I'm certainly no need to the chickens, but it's my writing's pretty much like chicken scratch. And I practice and practice and practice, and it doesn't get any better. But I still practice because I know it's important, because if I want to document and not just learn from what others have written in books, practice. And the first time is always the scariest. I'll do it with you. And she starts she hops up off of her chair and she grabs her little hat. She's not taking no for an answer. She's just pretty much getting ready. She's got her little satchel that you can tell is all packed by the door. And then she's got this other little bag that has the ointment and some candy and some extra little sweet treats.
And you can tell that while Sage is very hesitant, it's more of what if I'm bad at flying? I'm an owl. I'm supposed to be good, as opposed to I don't want to.
Yeah.
So she kind of one of her claws hesitantly steps down off the chair onto the floor, and she says, "If you are with me, maybe we could just glide, not fly, but we could just glide down to the street."
And has anyone talked you through about landing? Because it's not flying, but you're gonna have to do a little bit of fluttering with your wings so that it breaks your fall.
I spoke to Nay once about flying and landing, and he said you just put your feet out and smash them into the floor.
Nay, he's a little bit harder about his approach to many things. I would like you to have a softer landing, and he doesn't really pay attention when I'm flying.
I am fairly sure he can't fly, so I am not sure his
No.
advice is the best.
The only time he flew was when he fell out of the tree from my pulley system, and it wasn't really flying. It was kind of just not
Falling.
very graceful falling.
Okay.
He really just kind of flailed, and I felt really bad.
Hopefully I do not fall, but if you are with me, I
am
will.
with you.
Okay. And hesitantly, you step out onto the little plateau on your the patio, let's call it, outside your house, and move up to the edge. Sage kind of like with a very kind of like one leg forward tentatively, the other one follows, like slowly edging towards the
Now-
edge of this.
Don't look down. Just look where you want to go. So you see the field right over there?
Oh,
That's
yes.
where we're going to go. Don't look down. Just, you want to look at where you're intending to go.
Okay. And Sage like very like lifts one leg and kind of like has it out over the edge, like very kind of like her claw foot is like circling a little bit as she's trying to keep balance, and she just starts like flapping her wings like awkwardly and wildly, kind of like, oh no, this is just the kind of like
The panic,
imagining-
right? The
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
about to jump off the edge. Now, all you need to do is spread open your wings and hop off. And the wind resistance will catch your wings like this, okay? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. And Gwynny's going to hop off first and just spread open her wings and try her best to glide. But if she has to flutter up to make sure that she's staying parallel with Sage, then she will. But
Yeah.
she's just trying to show her what the first little hop looks like.
I would say probably you kind of like glide, but you glide a bit more flat. You're not going down, so you can kind of like swing around. And as you're kind of like swinging around, Sage kind of does a little hop, and then like just starts. It's gliding. It's not refined. It is very wobbly, but it is gliding, and she's kind of like slowly. It's also quite flat. I think she's worried about speed and
Right.
like losing control, so she's not really aiming down that much. And as you kind of swing around, you kind of like are able to come parallel to her and give a few tips and everything. As she's kind of, I won't do it because it'll just be me going hoo hoo hoo. But she's essentially like hooting, like breathing in and out, and she's kind of like ooh ooh, like that kind of thing. After a couple of minutes of like soft glide, you kind of like maybe even giving her a few tips and things, you do land on the field, like just off to the street a little bit, and you kind of like you do a little loss, like swoop down, and then you bring your wings up and you do that kind of like really cool like soft landing where it's just like whoop. Whereas Sage continues to glide until she very slowly and softly, just like a plane doing a belly landing, she just kind of like and just kind of like goes to the dirt and just kind of like very softly like glides across the dirt for a couple of seconds, and then comes to a rest with like her beak like planted in the soil, and then she kind of like there's like a half second of like I meant to do that, and then she like hops up and she says I flew.
You flew.
I
You
flew.
did it. How did it feel?
It felt natural. It felt like I do not even need to practice. But I may practice anyway, because then I can get better.
And you can use my house to glide down any day you would like.
Oh, that I can practice, and then when you return, I can show you how I can fly.
Yes.
And because you do not have the time to... And she kind of like settles down for a second. She's kind of like her feathers are like ruffled up, so she's got that like puffy like look. She kind of like shakes herself and like calms down a little bit, and she says, "Since you have to leave so soon and you have had to pack so quickly, I could tidy up your house. It is a mess at the moment. I would be happy to do so to pay you back for your help."
You can watch the house. But it's not a mess, dear. It's actually fairly organized right now.
That is organized?
Yes.
Oh.
Everything has a place and I know exactly where it is. And I don't do alphabetical book systems.
Oh.
So that's why some piles have two and then the books are like in between the two piles because they cover different genres and different things and very important topics.
If I organized your books in an order that makes sense, would you keep them that way?
Just don't touch the books.
Oh, okay. I will just make sure the dust does not settle.
If you make sure the dust does not settle and if you need a quiet place, you're more than welcome. There's a special little stash of extra candied walnuts in the cupboard.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And in your little bag here, and she like pulls out of her bag another little bag.
I kind of one of those little like ties
Little
things.
drawstring, yeah. Here's an ointment to use. And you want to use it every night before bed. And if you fly, it will help. You want to rustle your feathers. And if someone can help you on the back and a little bit of picking with the beak and getting the blood flow, that'll really help the feathers to come in nicely. And it'll help the itching. And it won't be as uncomfortable as long. Nay had to kind of use his claw sometimes for me.
Oh. Okay. Thank you, Gwenny.
Welcome, dear.
I have not really had someone to talk to these things about, so it is nice. It feels like a conversation with my mother.
I'm here for you always. Except I'm leaving now, but
Yes.
I'll be back.
Yes.
I'll
And
be back.
when you come back, I will show you how well I can fly.
I would love to see it. Also, if you go to the library and you want to help organize books, I'm sure that they would love your help.
Okay.
And then you can learn a different order. As it seems that mine is too messy for you.
Yes. Okay.
Everyone has their own way.
Yes. Well, I will go to the library and ask Miss Nancy Crab to teach me the correct way.
A different way.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, dear.
I am going to...
I'll be back soon.
Yes, I'm going to go and tell Aunt Marigold I have flown.
And without another word, Gwynny runs up and gives her like a big hug, like surrounding her in her little wings,
Yeah.
and like nuzzles into her. You take care, dear.
You
And then-
too. Look after Junior. He is impulsive
Oh,
and sometimes is disorganized.
I will watch after Junior.
And Sage kind of clacks off down the road. Like every now and then, as she's kind of like running off down the road, she does like a little hop skip and like flaps her wings like kind of wildly. Doesn't do anything really. It just, you know, just excitement, I guess. Where are you heading off to? I would assume.
I imagine we agreed to meet at the barracks to head out.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm just gonna toddle down the street and head to the barracks, knowing that that's where we agreed to meet.
Okay. And as you head off that way, the camera fades on Winnie heading towards the barracks, and fades back in at the. I cannot remember. Oh, sorry, I couldn't remember the name of your house. Fades in at Applebrook Lodge, where Nay, how are you prepared? I'm imagining that your preparations are fairly, let's call it Spartan. You're probably not bringing as many food supplies and you know, all of that type of thing. Possibly even like you have like, oh, this kind of speaks of Nay to me. Like you have a kind of travel pack that you prepared. You probably have it in like a closet somewhere. It's got all the basics. You just add a few things to it, and you're ready. So you like woke up, added like a few things in, you know, like perishable foods and basic supplies and things, and were ready about 4 hours ago. But you didn't set the meeting until later today, so you've just got to be sitting in Applebrook Lodge just waiting for the meeting time so you can head over there.
Yes, that's correct. Because being that I'm much more of a nocturnal animal, I knew to give myself as much time as possible in the morning because I already lumber around as is. Again, there's lots of things on my mind, which is much more of a over the last X amount of years I've been carrying. So I move slower than my limber and swift self used to be. So I take that into account and I allow myself to kind of, you know, haphazardly already pack, and we'll see where I fail. And I'm sure my teammates will bring that to my attention at any point in time. So yes,
sure.
I've got this pack that I've got my belongings I feel that would be necessary, but it is pretty darn basic. It's a little bit of like a shell of sorts that I've got in there. Otherwise, most of the time I was kind of actually just grooming myself. I was actually going ahead and digging into my fur a little bit and getting my my coat ready to deal with the outside world again, because the majority of the time I've just actually been hiding in my hole.
Okay. And here's a question, and perfectly legitimate to say you either don't have one anymore or it's just not something you have a solid like. Something you have an attachment to, but do you have a weapon? Like, generally speaking, badgers like big, sturdy things. So, like, some of the legendary badgers of old have even been known to like swing a tree trunk or something, you know, like as their weapon. Obviously. Basically a bit of brawling, a bit of fisticuffs also works perfectly well. There is no reason to have a weapon, but badgers, you know, they're renowned as fighters among the animal kind, and just curious if Nay has one.
So I thought about this a little bit in regards to how the Badgers tend to fight, or in this instance, how Nay might be utilizing his skill set. And
Yeah.
he does, but he hasn't used it in a very long time. And it's not even in his place. It's a little bit more on the outskirts of the hearth. And most people might not even know that blunt object, a very thick branch of sorts, is kind of stuck into the ground. It was kind of a symbol of, I'm done until I go back out again someday, which at that point in time in his mind was never or nay.
Okay. In that case, we will revisit that in a little bit. For now, you hear a booming at your front door. Someone is knocking on the door.
Come in.
The door kind of
turn my body around.
Yeah. The door kind of like creaks open, and Constance, who is the stonemason, well, one of the stonemasons, probably the best stonemason. She's a fairly, not quite as large as you, but she's a fairly large badger. Big paws, like sturdy and very, very good as a stonemason. She kind of lumbers in and kind of looks around for a second. It's quite quiet, and she says, "Nay."
Hey, Constance, good to see you.
I thought I would come to see you, as you are heading off today with the youngster and your old companions.
Yes, that's the plan. What brings you here?
Well, I know that Sage is going to visit Gwenny, and I thought someone should come and offer to look after Applebrook Lodge while you are gone. I don't think anyone else would have the courage to come and volunteer, so I thought, seeing as we go a fair ways back, I would offer to look after the place, keep it. And she like looks around and to kind of sees the fairly tidiness, but also like quiet of it, as it is. I'm wondering now if if Jen has been frozen by time.
Yes.
Not a problem. Please hold
His
while...
background doesn't look like it's frozen.
Oh.
It was, maybe he's back.
Please hold while the badger reboots. Do. So yes,
back in for a second. I apologize. I zoned out there.
Constance says, essentially, as it is currently.
Well, you've always been a wise one. That's for sure, Constance.
Thank you.
But it's a lot of work. Look at these dank halls. Do you really want to spend your time in here amongst my sorrow?
I was thinking I would more pop in every other day and keep it free of dust and make sure that none of the kids were sneaking in to play around.
That's a good point. There's lots for kids to get lost in here. But I don't want to burden you. The kids are quite rambunctious these days.
They are.
Junior, for example. Got the fire of his mother.
True. But seeing as you are going with Junior to keep him safe, I will not have to deal with that problem at least.
You're right. You're right. I do have a request, though.
Yes?
Do you still happen to have any stone bracers?
I do. I will drop them off at the Colonel's in maybe 2 hours?
Yeah. That should do just fine. And you're sure it's not an inconvenience?
Not too much of an inconvenience.
Say no more. And as badgers know, badgers are very to themselves, and I can already feel this energy of like, okay, I'm asking a lot right now. Or Constance already came forward to try to get me to, help out a little bit. I've asked for a little extra,
Yeah.
Which obviously shows the relationship that Nay has with badger kind. That it's like, okay, we can ask for stuff from each other, but
Yeah.
I go over to my fridge of sorts, and that if we remember that extra half a cucumber sandwich that was too much for Junior. I go ahead and I grab that out, and I'm like, for your hard work, please take. And I slide on over to Constance.
Yeah, and she takes it and kind of says, "Thank you. That will mean I don't need to make lunch for myself. I can concentrate on my work." Nay,
Constance.
what should I do with Applebrook if you don't return?
That's exactly what I was about to ask you next. What do I do if I fail? It's not just my friends that rely on me now. It's also a wee young one.
And she kind of like looks down for a second, and then something that doesn't happen very often, kind of between Badgerkind in general, except for in, let's call it, extreme circumstances, but obviously, to a given degree of extreme. She looks up and like looks you directly in the eye, and she says, "You fight to the end, to the best of your ability. By the stripe, no one can ask more of you than that. And if you still fail, then that doesn't matter. As long as you've done your best, that's all anyone can ask of you."
And with a slight exhale, not too much of a sound, Nate just goes and puts that big old paw on Constance's shoulder with just enough of a squeeze to feel the claws. It's not an intent to no damage to be taken, but just letting it know there's that level of connection, that tactile response. Thank you. And you can see there's a little bit more of an ease. It's still there. There's still something that's still, etching at Nay a little bit there. But again, kind of breaks from this really deep well of despair that's starting to kind of bubble up there because, again, that connectedness between Badgerkind being a little bit more vulnerable in that moment brings it back in.
Yes.
Once again, thank you for watching after Applebrook Lodge.
And
if I don't return, I know you know what's best. I wouldn't have been okay with you even looking after this place if I didn't think you had the eye, the will, and the temperament to make sure this place is still called home.
And she nods, and she like thwomps her big paw on your shoulder, kind of being a stonemason, and you having been essentially not inactive. I imagine you still like. Nay strikes me as someone who, even though he knows he's never going back out there or anything, just still keeps them, you know, like some training going, like keeping reasonably amount of fit and just like in.
It's almost like incognito. There's a little training on the
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
No one
yeah.
can see it though. No one knows
Yeah.
it's happening. Yeah.
But still, her kind of like her paw like slapping into your shoulder, just very slightly like shudders you, and she says, "You can leave it with me."
Yes. Thank you so much. However, you know how slow I move in the morning. I must get going soon.
Yes, and I should go and sort out those braces for you.
Ah, yes. Your work is the best. Thank you once again. And you can see he starts to kind of get back into his own zone and starts to shuffle on over into what would be a corner or a closet, so to speak, where this satchel that he's going to put on his back. And you see him lumber one strap onto his side. There's a second strap, but for some reason, he just wants to use the one right now and just... I'm going. You could stay here right now if you'd like, but I must head on over.
And as she is also heading off, and kind of go your separate ways, you going on a slight roundabout route, which we'll talk about in a second, she calls back to you for a second and says, "Oh, Nay.
Huh.
If you are in the area of or travel past Dennington, bring me back a souvenir from the old kings." And she turns and keeps going. You yourself kind of plod, I think would be a decent word, down the street off the side into a little secluded area of the hearth where there's a few small buildings mostly facing away, and almost overgrown with grass. Like, it's just not upkept as much. It doesn't need to be. There is well, why don't you describe what the implement looks like in this little secluded area?
All right. So this implement, now that it's funny because again, like you're talking about, like that's exactly what I picture. Like there's a little bit of growing around. If it's large grass, maybe a little bit of moss or moss-like growings are starting to happen around the base of it, because it's been stuck in there for quite a while into the ground. And in a way, there's a moment of admiration as seeing the morning sun hitting it, and then of course I'm also kind of blinded by it because I'm a bachelor and I really don't want to be looking at the bright sun anyways. But there's this combination of pain and excitement happening as I see this blunt instrument, this very knob-oriented branch that you could see as the zoom starts to kind of go in and scope around a little bit where my claws will lock into it. So I've got the ability to use it as both a implement that I hold and where I've dug my claws in to use it as a protective device as well at times. But it's a very large knobby branch, more akin to a larger fir, kind of like a redwood, but again, not as large because that would be even bigger than the badger, but along the fir topography, and that's what we're looking at right now.
And do you mind if I embellish a little here with a little bit of lore? And this is I think call it a club or a shillelagh. Obviously a branch, but slightly molded by time to fit purpose. It is something that you ripped in a moment of desperation off a tree in the wilds during one of your adventures. You have never encountered a tree like it outside the wilds before. And due to that fact and the strange, let's call it properties of it, you decided to call the tree ironwood, because the wood itself is as hard as iron. So you sling the ironwood club, the ironwood branch. I would imagine maybe even more quiet than you usually are, if that is possible. You start moving down towards the barracks to meet up with the rest, and you, as you walk, as always, probably unbeknownst to you at this point, people slowly move out your way. There's like the general populace just kind of part as you move through the streets, and we fade on Nay as he heads himself towards the barracks. And I am curious as to what Dash the Colonel is doing. Obviously, he doesn't have to head out to the meeting point. The meeting point is the most pristine, organized, and disciplined house in the Hearth, also known as the barracks.
Well, I know badgers are nocturnal, and also owls are nocturnal, and also our hares nocturnal. We had a bit of an evening last night, and I was given some letters, and I've retired from the long runners. It's been a while, but still have to get mail delivered, and Nay handed me a package of letters, so I probably, after everybody left, went out and did a bit of a long run to deliver those last letters that I was given from Nay. Probably the sort of letters that are not like so important and special. The long runners themselves would do it. People who maybe don't, so not everybody goes. And so anyway, I was out for a bit delivering letters outside of the Hearth, and I probably came back not too long ago and got a little bit of shut-eye, and I'm probably up now, rubbing some ointment on my joints, because it's been quite a few, many, many years of long running, and I'm a little bit too old for this, as you do. Probably should have retired some time ago, but as they say, the Colonel can't ever retire, so I'm probably up at this morning before everybody else shows up, rubbing ointment and trying to stretch out my joints and my back and my knees, so that they are a little bit more limber and they hurt a little bit less. Having a bit of tea, so that when everybody shows up, I won't look the way I sometimes look in the morning, which is a little bit hunched over, a little bit. Bones are sometimes older than they look.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Everyone says in my book that I actually look old, but I didn't mean it like that. I mean, I used to look young once.
Yes.
There are cracks. Don't worry about it.
I would say probably reasonably early, but not like as early as you get up early. You are visited. You probably notice them. They're reasonably, like, not rowdy, but they're just noticeable. A few of the kids turn up at your place, and I kind of feel like in general they would wait at the gate at your, like, the gates to your house, as opposed to like actually walking in. Just going by the last interaction, there's a bit of instilled discipline there, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh,
I ring a bell
yeah.
when the barracks are open, but I wait for them to announce themselves before I open the door.
In that case, I would say probably Kristen, the squirrel. You can also see that Trag, the mole, and Rog the hedgehog are there. But Kristen is the one who speaks up, and he says, Colonel, sir, Kristen, Trag, and Rog, reporting for duty. permission to step inside the barracks, sir.
Granted.
Thank you, sir.
Doors open.
And they kind of open the gate and wander in. As a sidebar, Kristen, I don't know whether you've been allowing use of your obstacle course at all, or...
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
It's from a time ago. You know, it needs a bit of repair.
Kristen is probably the kid who's been the most enthusiastic about stories about the long runners. And I'll say, given your expertise as a long runner, Kristen is suited, definitely quick, but much more favoring, trees and so could make potential could make in the future a good long runner. So.
All right, you critters, young critters, meet me out back in 10, 9. If you're not there when I get there, I'll be very disappointed.
Oh, and they're
8,
like kind of run around. I imagine Trag also like trips over his claws again, and just like falls flat for a second, like scrabbles up.
6, 5. Once they get out, I start to chuckle at them. All right, and I head back. I head out to the back. All right, you 3. You see what is behind me here? The most exciting, challenging, and glorious obstacle course the Hearth has ever seen. Probably anyone in this whole area has ever seen, but it's could use a bit of love. It's not currently safe for anyone to use. Some cobwebs, a few nuts and bolts not properly fixed. But if anyone were to use this when it were all fixed up, well, that would make them, that would put them on the path to being something legendary.
And there's like this kind of like tense stillness with the kids, especially Kristen. And he says, after a second, he kind of blurts out like, Sir, are you saying we can use the obstacle course, sir?
Nope, I am not.
Oh.
That would be getting ahead of yourself.
Oh.
Now, I know that Kristen wants to take a go. Let me tell you something. My vagabond troupe had people of many different skills. You cannot have a successful vagabond troupe without people with many different skills. Being fast is only one skill. I was very lucky, and I still am, to have in my life Gwenny. Gwenny flies. That's the obvious thing. Guinevere Willow Eleanor Nightingale. You might think, oh, what she does is fly. That's her job. What she does is tinker. She makes all sorts of brilliant contraptions. She fixes things. And when you're out there in the wilds, you want someone who can repair your armor, who can make a trap, who can, well, make a pulley system so that you can sleep in trees, all sorts of things. Also, some people here may be fast, but other people here I see having them a spark of the tinker. You can't run it unless it's repaired first. And I don't think all of you appreciate, Kristen, what everybody else here can do. So, Trig, sometimes I know you trip over things, but I've seen your dexterity manually. You are going to be in charge of repairing this obstacle course while I'm gone. And no one gets to use it until you say all the parts and pieces have been oiled, fixed, tightened, and repaired. That'll be your job as a leader.
Oh, All right, Colonel. Can I? Is it all right if I get help from Grunbread and the others, or is it
That's
something?
exactly what a good leader does.
So I don't have to do it by myself.
No, no one should be doing anything by themselves. Should always be getting help, because in the hearth we all work together. So, you're in charge of fixing this up. Get your team together and work it.
All right. I'll have it. I'll have it looking even better than it does, sir.
All right. Trag, I believe in you. Raj, you've got a lot of spines, which means you can make sure that there's no underbrush or anything dangerous or tricky. You can go through. When all of you as a team, you three, but also Sage, definitely should be involved. Abreda, Rodolphus, Reichelt, get them all involved. You fix up this obstacle course. We go off on a mission. When I come back, I want a full report about how this has been fixed up. And then I want to know, 1, who's the fastest through the obstacle course, and 2, who's the most ingenious through the obstacle course, and then 3, who's the quietest through the obstacle course.
And Kristen and Trag are kind of like nodding along, looking kind of like excited at the prospect and stuff. I will say Rog kind of has his head down and is just kind of like quietly listening. He doesn't appear to be, like, there's no eye contact or anything. He's like looking down at the ground. And Kristen says, yes, sir. I guarantee you I will be the first in all 3 categories, sir, by the time you get back.
You have a special mission, Kristen.
Special, sir?
When I get back, if on the first run you are the first in all 3 categories, by the time I get back, I want to make sure you're not the first in all 3 categories. It'll be your job to make sure that somebody else is quieter than you and somebody else is more ingenious than you. You can pick which category you want to be number 1 in, but you've got to make sure you can train those other people just as well as you, because you can't do this on your own when you go out there. Sure, long runners do things by themselves, but if you want to go and explore the wilds, you need to have a team that's just as good as you are. Being number 1 doesn't matter if you're one by yourself.
Sorry. I'm sorry. That surprised me. It took me. I'm fine. Sorry.
Gwynny, what are you doing? That was
Just flying
I think
by.
I saw.
Sorry, just practicing my
No, come on
flying.
down. No, come down here. You could give them some tips.
Some tips.
Hello, Gwynny.
And Gwynny.
Hello, I'm so sorry to have interrupted your meeting.
No. I'm going to have
thinking.
these youngins, these critters, go and fix up the obstacle course that needs a bit of love, and I
we
was
had
just
so much
describing
fun.
how great you are.
We had so much fun in the obstacle course.
You know, this is Gwynny's design.
You helped. I wouldn't have known what to do with the ground stuff. Everything I wanted to do was up in the sky, attached to the trees.
Well, but look, there's right there. There's that. What did you call it? A sort of an owl line that goes from that tall tree up. That probably needs to be oiled. Well, you made
Probably,
the best
but
obstacle course.
it was certainly fun. I am so sorry to have interrupted your little meeting.
No,
I'll meet you in your house. I'll put on some tea.
but wait. I've put Trag in charge of fixing this up, being
Mhm.
the one in charge of repairing. If you want to give him an inspirational when he talk, I'd love to see it. I always love your inspirational talks. I also told him if they disappoint me, they don't get any candied walnuts. I didn't say it before, but I'm saying it now.
You definitely don't want to. No, disappointing you is the last thing that anyone wants to do.
But
I
if
mean-
you make Gwynny happy, you might get those candied walnuts, so...
You might get them anyway, as long as you work hard. But
I think as well at this point is probably when Nay kind of like looms around the corner and slowly thwomps up to the gates. Nay, I'm so torn in my head as to which way it would work. So I guess the best thing is to ask you, like, does Nay kind of walk in, or does he do the polite, the more, because you're so familiar with these two going back so far, there's like a feeling of like, oh yeah, I'd just walk in, but also Nay and his ways, I wonder whether he'd just like stop at the gate and wait to be invited.
Because he's arrived early, he waits a little bit to kind of survey the land again. As you can tell, kind of getting back into a lot of the instinctual nature of what he kind of just put aside, because he's been lost in this thought, this trance of sorts. So yeah, you kind of see him on the outside, but it's hard for him to hide because he's so big compared to all of his friends. So
Hey, remember when I say to the kids that the 3 categories I want to see you all compete in is fastest, most ingenious, and quietest. You know that Nay always won the most ingenious way through the obstacle course. Always.
Too kind. That's not here nor there. You continue your discussion as I will prepare myself for what's to come.
you don't need to prepare yourself. You've got everything right there.
Why, yes. Yes, I do have everything.
Oh,
All right, critters, you have your mission. Know this. The barracks store will be open the entire time we're gone on our mission. If you need a place to sit, to think, to meditate, to practice, a bit of a clubhouse of sorts, the barracks will be open. But when I come back, I expect obstacle course repaired, reports, and I expect my food to be eaten, all of it, but shared amongst everyone. And I expect all of the places to rest to have been used or resting.
and they all kind of
Otherwise,
together say, yes, Colonel. Rog, the hedgehog, is like a little bit mumbly, but still like, yes, Colonel.
I expect
Yeah.
good stories to have been told, some camaraderie to happen. Otherwise, I'll be disappointed.
Dash, did you happen to keep the plans that you instructed me to write out, or did I keep them? If the little ones might need the plans. Sage could try and find them in the house, but a Sage didn't understand
I
what
have
organize.
them.
Okay, good.
Because your organizing system is so glorious that I kept a
Unique.
copy just in case.
Eclectic.
Perfect.
Yeah. I will step aside and get those. All right, you kids. I expect singing, and I expect marshmallows over fires while I'm gone, or else I'll be very disappointed. I'm going to get those plans.
Nay, we should pack marshmallows too.
Give me the stuff. And Nay goes in like motions as if, obviously he's got room in his satchel. Come on.
I have a question, just because it hit me and I was like, this kind of makes sense, but feel free to disagree or deny or whatever. I feel like given the club branch and the fact that you kind of have it on your back, Would that be a place as you're traveling that Gwynny would perch? I just get this vision of like Gwynny kind of like perched up on the top of the branch, and it just kind of spoke to me.
I would imagine that it was. There's been more than one time that her nocturnal sleep habits have taken over, and she's perched, and then she starts like
Just
cooing
starts
at the
snoozing.
because she's like,
Yes.
because her little legs are too tired, and she's like, I'm not gonna fly without my friends, so she's like snoozed on top of the branch.
I love the idea of like this kind of lumbering badger kind of lumbering through the forest, and then you just see Gwynny on top, like on top of the branch, like the head is just held still, like
Just a little.
yeah, like and like the head is held still with like the body bobbing with the movement of the badger, and then the head is just kind of still there, like yeah. All right. So, what I will say is the kids kind of run off to do their things.
I just tell Kristen, you know that letter I have on my mantelpiece?
Yes, sir.
It's not there anymore. I have it with me. But there's a small bundle of letters that I've replaced it with. Nobody opens them unless we never come back. We don't come back. You, Kristen, open them. Get that? Well, you open the one that's addressed to you. The rest you deliver, like a good long runner.
Of course, sir. But I have no doubt in my mind you'll return, sir. You always do.
We will, but just in case. There's one to you, there's one to the head of the long runners, and there's some for the people here in the hearth. Deliver them.
Yes,
The
sir.
long runner one last.
Yes, sir. And the kids head off to prepare for training and for the rebuilding or making pristine of the obstacle course.
They're light repairs. They're not that
Yeah,
bad. It just
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
lot of, they don't have to do anything very seriously heavy, but it needs a bit of oiling and a bit of tightening of
Sanding maybe and
nuts and
tightening.
bolts.
A little
Yeah,
meticulous,
sand.
let's be
Oh,
honest.
there's a bit too much splinters and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Okay. And I will say that all three of you at this point probably head into the barracks. You are
Where's
essentially
Junior?
yes, essentially you are now waiting for Junior, who will be making an appearance very shortly. But feel free to just have a little wait around as Sheepy goes to the toilet quickly.
That's
Do
good.
Do you think it'll be all right with Junior? I'm worried.
You're worried? That's the last thing I expected from you. That's my job.
Worried about what?
I don't know. It'll be his first adventure into the woods, into the wilds. He's so much like his mother.
Yeah. Snap out of it. This doesn't sound like you.
We weren't much older when we took our first adventure.
You're right. We're about that age.
We've just
What if
seen
no,
both sides of what can happen to an adventure.
got two worries. I worry that we go out there with him and we don't find his mother. And my other worry is we go out there with him and we do find his mother.
I mean, we're all worried about that. That's why we haven't left this. Well, we haven't left home in a long, long time.
Other than our little scouts. we've not gone for an overnight in a very, very, very long time.
Certainly not a week or more. Do you think you'll be okay with whatever we find?
If you're leading us, absolutely.
I think that the not knowing is worse than the knowing. The knowing means you can move on one way or another. But the not knowing? What has it done to you all these years?
And I gently, like, you could see my big paw kind of pat a little bit on Gwenny a little bit, because you could feel the energy that's going on right now.
I don't know.
think it'll
Having not found her means that I can still dream that she's out there.
We're gonna find
it'll,
Somewhere.
it also yeah.
I mean, I've got my club. We're gonna find her.
I've got my lucky scarf.
See? Gwen's got her lucky scarf. I've got my club. Well, Dash, where's your uniform?
I should put it on. It's been a long time.
Should you put it on? Come
She'll
on,
recognize
Colonel.
us that way. She always talked about how much she liked your uniform.
Hmm?
Well, luckily I keep in shape, more or less.
Ah,
Hey, I haven't told you this recently, but you too. You, Gwenny, and you, Nay, should probably know this. In case you forgot.
forgot.
You're my best
That's you.
friends. My very best friends in all the world. And there's nobody I'd rather go on an adventure with than you.
Same here. I brought more candied walnuts than last time.
Ah, yes. Good company and even better food.
I love you both. I'm gonna have to go put on my uniform. That's the thing there, man.
Yeah. And as you all get prepared, and Dash's uniform is put on, I won't say too much, but it's a little tight around the waist. The camera fades on the barracks and fades back in to a waking Junior. Junior!
What time is it?
You're not sure exactly, but it appears to be quite late because there is no sound of other people, many people in the house. It appears the usual wake-up call you get by Aunt Marigold did not happen, and you have slept in.
Oh, shit.
Wholesome, Junior, wholesome.
Oh, sugar biscuits.
Oh, buggery fuck.
Darn waking system. So fit for purpose.
And you kind of jump out of bed, pull your gear on.
Oh, goodness. What shall the Colonel think of me? Won't stand tardiness. Must make haste.
And you kind of, yeah, get everything on.
Got everything. Pack my maps. And Marigold!
Yes, dear?
Where is my sword?
I left it in the hall, dear.
In the hall.
I.
It's a great work of steel, and he left it in the hall.
And you could hear kind of like a bit of a, rustling and stuff downstairs, but no reply about that.
He's gonna be like getting his little backpack on.
Mm.
And he's gonna go down and make sure he finds this sword. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
You find it in like a little kind of umbrella kind of style like thing, like just a couple of like sticks and whatnot in there.
Ah, goodness. And like the sword he pulls out isn't anywhere near a proper sword. It like resembles almost like a large like needle.
Yeah.
See, Aunt Marigold will not allow him to have anything of the sort in the build.
Not in the house, not running around with tomfoolery and whatnot, but you are headed off out into the wild forest and beyond, so I imagine she'd be okay with that. Especially, you're with very responsible adults, even if some of them have strange organizational tastes.
Right. Aunt Marigold,
Yes, dear?
I'm off to make history.
Oh, well, come into the kitchen, dear, before you do go.
Fine. Orders in. Yes?
Oh, I just wanted to say, I hope you aren't leaving because because of anything here. I've always tried to make this a good home for you kids, and I'm gonna be sad to see you go, is all.
It's only a temporary departure. And I must say, I am greatly appreciative of the establishment in which you ward me in, and I thank thee for your years of kindness.
Well, you're very welcome, Junior. And it's been lovely to have you here living in the house. I understand why you have to go. I just hope that the Colonel and the rest can look after you as you go. Like, don't be scared to learn from them, dear. They know what they're talking about.
Gad, I do not dabble with the likes of fear, but I appreciate your concern.
Of course, love. Now, before you go, you come give your auntie a hug, even though I is covered in flour from head to toe. And she, holds out her hands.
Junior's kind of hesitant. It's like, a hug, really? Does she not know I'm a grown man? Of course. That's obligation.
So hug. And you get enveloped in these big, velvety mole arms and paws, and
Lovely.
it goes on for a little bit longer and probably a little bit harder a squeeze than you were expecting.
Marigold, put me down.
Oh, I'm sorry, dear. I not really myself today, but oh, and she starts dusting your shoulders and your face a little bit as you have flour all over you.
Fine.
She's fully covered in flour. She's clearly been cooking something.
Well, I bid thee good morrow.
Safe travels, dear, and do be careful.
I always am. Bye, Aunt Marigold. He pops down the front steps of the house. And...
Well, as you're leaving, you get to the door, and you hear a voice coming from behind you, which says, "The mountain tree calls, young warrior. And as you turn around, you see that Aunt Marigold is kind of like standing there, like staring off, like in your direction, but just like kind of glazed eyes, like staring at the wall. And she continues, but it may not be her, to some degree.
And Marigold?
And
you quite
you
well.
must find your way there, through water stymied, past the tomb of striped kings, to be drenched in the rain of petals and showered by Corby calls. Love calls you onwards, and love follows in your footsteps. You must find a legacy in repose and a kit that doesn't fit. Only then can you regain your heart, lost time, and find yourself forged in fire. Go, 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 hero to be. Roam far and live free. And then Aunt Marigold kind of blinks and says, well, go on then, dear, get along.
Are you not just having an existential crisis?
What are you talking about, dear?
Good God, woman, stay off the mushrooms. And turns and walks out. Honestly.
Good luck, dear, and hopefully I'll see you back here soon. And then she kind of gets back to gets back to whatever it was she was doing, and you kind of start heading down the pathway, down the road, off towards the barracks. So yeah.
He heads off with speed because he realizes he has in fact overslept.
Yes. Very possibly on purpose. Aunt Marigold did not wake you up.
Oh,
Hmm.
fiend!
Possibly she was hoping to keep you there a little bit longer, or possibly make you miss, so you had to stay. But
They shall prevent me from my task.
And as we keep going, for those of you who would like the details of that in full, it is in the Discord and pinned for viewers. So along with the map of Overgrown as well. So you get to the gate. You get to the barracks. Probably a few people kind of shouting at you, wishing you well, wishing you luck, and you're like, don't have time, late, must go, and kind of, well wishes and those type of things.
That's appreciated.
And then you find yourself at the barracks.
Colonel, sir!
Who is it who's reporting for duty?
Junior, sir!
All right, enter.
He enters with his arm still up in the air.
This, by the way, young lad, is the uniform. It's been a while. You get the R for the long runners. Well, I hope you're ready.
That needs some alterations, sir.
Could I ask as well, Dash? Do you display your medals on this jacket, or is that something you keep separate?
That's for when we're doing a dress event.
Of course.
But just normally, not so much. But I will note that this system allows you to customize your equipment. And while this counts as leather armor, I put signature on it so that people know this is a long runner's uniform. Yeah, just a little bit around the waist. Oh,
I can help you with the button if you need it.
oh,
I can
Thank
always
you.
move it for you.
oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, he goes and he picks up an axe. It's not a super big axe. It's like a one-handed axe, and it is a rabbit folk steel axe that it has been not used in a long time, but it is perfectly oiled, perfectly clean, not a spot of dirt, or it has been perfectly maintained, as has his uniform. He's not worn it in a while, but there are no strings or anything out of place in any spot in any parts of the uniform.
Okay.
Picks up the messenger bag. All right. What do you think?
I think it looks dashing.
Thanks.
You still have that little thing? My claws are bigger than that.
Well,
This isn't a competition, Nay.
Says who?
This is me.
Need the competition setter, Gwynny.
Yes.
I was
So-
not informed.
don't worry about it just yet. You'll find your way, Junior. So, also, I like a nice small axe. It lets me be, ooh, ouch, fast and maneuverable. You want to just be able to. So, yeah. If you've not seen me in action, Junior.
Well, I'll be able to.
Hopefully you never will.
Just like,
Yes.
wah, 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 wah.
Bob and weave. Just you got it.
Just coming back. It's looking good.
Very good, sir.
So, we're going off to the south. The last place we saw the mountain tree. Down in the wilds. Probably have to pass by Dannington, maybe Ranger Hold, the Reach. We can follow paths. Already made ones for a bit until we hit the Reach, and once we hit the Reach, well, there are no more paths then. Then we just go straight into the wilds.
Would
Are we still certain it's there?
Can it move?
Well, it moves. It does. But no one's ever seen it outside of the wilds, so that's probably the best place to go.
where would you suggest we start, sir?
Well, the first thing that you have to do when you start off on a journey like this, an epic adventure that people will sing tales about for generations, is with your
Obviously.
first step in front of you. That's it.
Really? That seems quite unaccomplished. But everyone.
Many people never
has-
make that first step.
Many steps make up an adventure. You have to take them one at a time.
Does everyone else not walk about in the village? Are they all making history just by going about day to day? One step and two step and three.
We
step
won't
and-
know because history is so far either back or forward. If we're making history in this moment, we won't know.
I have a feeling that in this moment, we four are going to be making history at this second. People might tell stories about us in this room in the barracks right now, many generations to come.
Someone better transcribe this because the only people here are us four. And if we're
So
not there
then
to
we
tell
all have to
well-
be here to tell the story when we come back.
That is correct.
What's
Before
that
we head
shop
out,
look for, Junior?
I'm not saying that none of us won't come back. It'd be quite unfortunate if we did not survive to tell the tale. I'm just saying we need to make sure this story reaches the masses of the land. Otherwise, it will.
No. Junior, you
Stop.
have a job on this mission. I'm sure Gwenny and Nay will agree. Your job is to make sure you come back to tell the story, no matter what.
We are all coming back no matter what.
Good. But you especially, you don't get to go and wander off into the woods and decide you're going to stay behind. You're coming back, no matter what.
Are you worried I'm going to follow in the footsteps of my mother? Wander off, never come back. Make the decision for everyone else.
Your mother had her reasons, but I'd like you to make different choices.
I understand she may have her reasons. Please do not inflict your grief upon me. I'm a different mouse. I intend
We'll
to
see.
return.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Now let's go. Also, Junior, you should know they're singing.
Is what?
They're singing.
Ha, ha, ha. Why do you think I'm in the back? Ha, ha.
Yep. There's always journey songs. Jaunty tunes of journeying. It's just how it is.
That's how we tell a lot of stories, you know.
But those reserved for the evening. Once we sat around a campfire.
Well,
Not,
how else are we supposed to pass the time?
Glorious battle.
You have to get
Nope,
to the
see.
battle,
Mhm.
You
and that
have a
could
lot
take
to learn.
days,
Days.
or weeks,
Weeks.
or months.
Weeks.
Months.
It doesn't just, you don't just step out of the, you don't just step out of the village and then adventure is there.
I do not believe you understand. I accomplish several quests a day. I'm incredibly proficient. Should this
And
not
those
be
are-
the same case?
No.
Uh, hmm. How do I put this, Junior? You've done very well in
I
the
know,
herd,
thank you.
but you are about to find out what the world is like out there.
There are dangers you can't imagine. There'll be cold nights and rain. The only thing to keep you warm is us and a fire. And more importantly, you're going to be hearing Nay singing.
Ah,
Believe that is the scariest thing of all.
It's not that
And
bad.
you.
Yet
Oh,
I
it's
need not
actually quite
fear
great.
about what we are going to encounter, because I intend to be the scariest thing in the wild.
Eh, we'll find out how scary your singing is as we head out. Let's go, Junior.
yes. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And you gather your things, sling your packs, and I would currently assume that Dash would probably take the front. Essentially, as you travel through the forest and further, like Dash would likely be in the front, depending on whether Winnie is currently like up flying and having a look around.
Yep.
So we'll just kind of assume to begin with you'll be, especially in the hearth, it will be kind of like walking together, and then possibly later that. But as you walk out of the barracks, lock up, obviously, but with a key or etc. in a place where the kids know where to find it. The first few drops of rain start to fall from above you. There's some clouds in the skies. It's fairly overcast. And as you head through the hearth, again, you are greeted by the animals of the hearth as you walk past them. They kind of shout to you as you go. They say, "Good luck, good ventures," and so on and so forth. As you notice a few animals up on the sides of the walls. They appear to be clearing out some of the vines. As you walk to the front of the, essentially you'd call it like the gates of the hearth. There's a little kind of organization of animals there who are currently look like they're prepared to do a standard venture out, not far anywhere, just to kind of like clear out the outside of the walls as well. Basically, just keep things from overgrowing in the area. They all kind of, shout to you, wish you well, and there's no organized, like, heartfelt goodbye exactly, but there is definitely a feeling of people are sad to see you go and wishing you well and good luck, and basically, come back soon. Hope to see you back here soon, etc. And you all one by one step over the sorry, the word has escaped me. The threshold. There we go. You step over the threshold of the hearth into the woods. There's a little open, plain area, not very large, as the trees immediately are all surrounding this gate, surround all the way around the hearth. Junior, obviously you've been outside, obviously you've seen the forest before around here. It isn't vibrant. The colors aren't like, encroaching or anything. There's life in them, obviously, and the life is as strong as a regular tree and etc. But everything seems reasonably calm as you step through, and essentially there in terms of the world, in terms of the forests, you have paths. If they're not traveled on regularly, they do they do tend to grow back over. They do tend to get wild and everything again. But you do have pathways to the majority of small settlements, havens, sanctuaries, etc. In the world, and from one to another. I will say, as you step out and start traveling, we will assume for now that you are just heading out from the hearth. We'll decide a destination in a little bit. My first question is, Junior, what are your thoughts on the little incident with Aunt Marigold?
I mean, firstly, we're just trying to brush it off, like trying to find any and all logical reason for why she would have spoken like that.
Yeah.
Trying to think it was a way of spooking me into not going. Something about it just lingers in the back of my mind. And maybe there's a method to the madness.
Question, did you... is it common knowledge that you wanted to go to the mountain tree? And is it something you've spoken about, or I mean, is that even your objective, to get to the mountain tree?
Well, the objective is to find my mother, and the last place she went to was the mountain tree, so it seems like a good place to start.
True.
With the mention of the mountain tree, makes me think first we need to search for water. And that's where we must travel.
and I will say, as outside of Junior's head, between you and me, obviously it is like Junior and the other animals have knowledge of the world. I, having created it, have knowledge of the world. I'm not expecting this to be like a bizarre riddle puzzle for you to unpiece by yourself with limited knowledge of like what I've given you and stuff. So if you want to talk through and like unravel some of the things as we go, or all of it, like I'm perfectly happy to talk through it. Also, you know, if you want, maybe some of the other animals will have insight into what exactly the this little weird speech thing was.
And that would help because I've absolutely no idea what it means.
Okay.
Both in and out of character.
Fair enough. And yeah, it's a fun little kind of riddle, but it's not intended to be a like in-game puzzle solver for you. It's just a little bit of extra fun for the thing. So shall we say as you're walking, would Junior talk to them about this? Do you think?
I think he's gonna keep it under his hat for now.
Okay. In that case,
Sort of like think, oh, I think we should go this way, or maybe we should go over there.
in that case, shall we dip into a couple of the lines?
I imagine our first one is to Dennington. I imagine.
The first two lines are fairly obvious. You're headed to the mountain tree, it's calling you, and you need to find your way there. The next two lines is through water, stymied, past the Tomb of Striped Kings. I would say Junior would know what those two are. Those two are fairly, solid things. Water stymied essentially being like, foiled or stopped, would be the dam.
Damn.
The Tomb of Striped Kings would be the previous Kingdom of Badgers. Badgers having the stripe, and also something I hadn't mentioned before, but for badgers, saying like by the stripe is essentially like the equivalent of an oath, like basically saying like, you know, it's almost like a promise, or more serious than a promise, like an oath. So the striped kings would be most likely Dennington.
Right. I think like how much would Junior actually know about outside of the heath himself?
So there are definitely smaller smaller settlements and little communities like dotted all around the place. These places on the map, like the dam and Dennington, are either hubs or landmarks that basically every animal knows. You know, if you're heading out towards the sea, you know that you're heading towards the dam, and then you're probably going to catch a ride down the river. If you're heading up north, you'll always you'll always drop in around North Run, just purely because the long runners up there, you know, they have a bit of a hub up there.
Well, I'm going to need water. And I guess the best place to fill our canteens would be a dam. Do you not agree?
Sure. I'd say I have like a canteen, like we all have canteens, but like, I think that's a good idea, Junior. I feel like that's a wise bit of pathfinding.
I will also
Follow your lead.
I will also say, like, generally speaking, if you're heading down to the Reach, you can either go via Ranger Hold or the dam. Like either way is kind of about the same distance, but generally speaking, being closer to the river, being closer to that kind of like towards the sea, the forests are a bit less wild. They're a bit less thick. It's an easier travel. I would say it's not a terrible shout. Like if you go down towards Ranger Hold, towards Forager's Rest, you get very, very thick forests and a bit more, it gets a bit more wild a bit earlier, so.
But I like giving Junior pathfinding, like giving him some leadership, let him grow. So like, go ahead.
Yeah.
Don't tell him that, of course, because then he knows, but you can't tell someone who's 13 these things. You just let them do their thing.
Okay. In that case, you head fairly quickly down the path. It's a little bit more traveled. The dam is a great place to go to either travel up or down the river. Before the dam is quite slow. The river doesn't flow that heavily. Like, you know, it's dammed. And then down past the dam, it's a very nice kind of quick, rapid shot in towards the sea. So it's a good way of traveling fast in that direction. As you are walking through the forest, you start to feel the... I would say you probably hear it before you feel it. The pitter-patter of rain starts to get a bit heavier. The trees and leaves above you, the canopy kind of like taking the brunt of the rain as it starts to get a bit heavier. I'd say at some point all of you get like a drop on the nose or, you know, on the shoulder or something as you keep going. And
Am I on top of your little, on top of your branch? Because I imagine I probably, when it's raining, I'm doing that and I'm almost acting as an umbrella for you. So you're not getting much water. There's just me like taking all of the like curled up in my little feathers, taking the brunt of.
I definitely agree with you on that thought. I actually was thinking because of the forgetfulness of your character that at first you start to kind of go a little bit on your own. And before it like kind of, it comes back to you like, wait a second, I don't have to do this. And so, you know, where I motion, like almost like it clicks and I'm looking at you kind of like hands on hips, like, and then yes, you return to your perch right on there, which I obviously don't mind because it does keep the water off of my snout. And I'm quite thankful for that. In my gruff and toughened state, obviously.
I know it's silly, but I also really like the idea of Dash like using one of his ears like flopped over his forehead to like protect his face from the from the rain. It's just like a natural kind of peak or something. But yes, as you keep walking, and you start to hear the in the forest like the droplets of rain kind of hitting the canopy, and honestly for all of you, especially for Junior, but you haven't been out into the forest properly like this for quite a long time. I'm not sure the exact details for everyone. I feel like since you returned after your last outing, which obviously was a whole adventure in itself, you've been fairly, I want to say, reclusive. Not that you haven't been active, not that you haven't been doing things, but outside is something that really hasn't featured for you.
I feel like Gwynny would maybe go back and forth for books to other little areas and villages. So like adventuring isn't outside of her comfort level, but I don't think she was gone more than max a night.
And given her previous forays, she probably wouldn't consider it much of an adventure. It's more like popping down the shops and buying a new book as opposed to, you know.
Yeah.
And I continued long running, so I'd been out and about.
Yeah.
And I haven't left at all. Like the fact that I even leave my home is a big deal.
I imagine.
I think I was out and about a lot, but it was all because it was long running. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different than adventuring. And
you don't really notice much of the countryside when it's all flashing past you as you're kind of, you know, on a job. I'd say as well, my guess would be that Nay got dragged out to get books and stuff. Not because Gwynny needed the help, but because Nay needed to be pushed to, wander a little bit every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
I bribed him with walnuts.
Air out,
Always.
air out the cobwebs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to for going forward to kind of like set the vibe, I would say, which is very convenient, it does have a good kind of like look that Jen currently has in his background, like the trees, the undergrowth. I would say everything is just amped up a little bit from what you see there. The trees are closer together. They're thicker. They're wider. The undergrowth kind of very often comes up to your knees, sometimes to your waist. It's very, even here, further north, it's very wild. And every time you manage to, and when I say you, I mean animal kind. Every time you manage to forge a path, it's only a matter of time before it's overgrown again, before it's the same as it ever was. And this is a feature that, this is something that continues throughout history. This is something you are now used to. There are legends of it not being like that, but this is your reality. So, also, I will say,
All forests are kudzu. All forests are kudzu in
Ooh.
some way, and they just, you turn your back, and all of a sudden they're fully grown over everything.
I will say that some of the things that you know exist and happen down further south tend not to happen here. So you won't see trees in one place and then you wake up the next day and they're in different places. The forests don't tend to wander as much. There's also much less likelihood of the grasses and vines and stuff like trying to grasp you or anything along those lines. Like further down south, especially near the Reach, as you get closer and closer to the wilds, you'll go to bed, and if you're not careful, you wake up and you're wrapped in vines, or you're like suspended from the trees, that type of thing. Not to mention the legends, the vague sightings of nymphs, dryads, woodland legendary mythological creatures and things that the further south you go, the more sightings of them happen. Up north, well, you're fairly central in the Hearth, but up north where you are, much less of that. An occasional sighting once a year max, and it could just be rumor. So, additionally, there's lots of bird chirpings and calls. There's lots of animals in the underbush. Occasionally, as you're walking, you'll hear the flutter of a turkey, or see the far distant kind of flash of a deer or something, kind of jumping off through the trees.
What was that?
What was what?
Sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sounds of the forest.
Have you
Who's
not been
wrestling?
out this far?
Over there. You not hear it?
The deer?
I have hair ears. I hear everything.
Careful, Goodney. Stand behind me. I should protect you.
I don't smell anything yet.
I just sort of, I wink to Nay and Gwynny. Pull out your sword, though.
I'm holding it.
Be prepared for whatever danger there is here on our way to the dam.
And as you say that, you have the almost like punctuation to your sentence. When you say you have to be prepared, there is a crack of lightning, as lightning, no, look, still fairly far away from you. Uh,
Stepped in a bramble.
As you essentially you are a crack of lightning kind of comes down a little ways away. You hear the crack and the boom immediately. The sound, the patter of the trees, the rain on the trees and everything have been like going quicker, going stronger. And a couple, as you kind of like react to that, there's a couple more kind of like rumbly booms in the distance, as you can't really see above yourself through the canopy of the trees, but there is a more overcast, darker clouds starting to move in. The rain gets a bit heavier and actually starts to come through the leaves as the wind slowly starts to pick up and starts to, like, some of the trees start to sway, some of the leaves start to part across. I would say, as a sidebar, you've been traveling for a little while, a few hours. You're maybe like further off into the afternoon, evening. I'd say you're probably getting close to the dam.
Almost there, yes, my feet are sore from exhaustion.
This is only the first day of adventure.
But,
I laugh because obviously Gwenny's just been
I
chilling on
know.
the branch like this entire portion of the journey, you know, and so it's my little like laugh about
She's been
that.
like in and out of sleep. Like the thunder maybe like made her rustle, but she just like settles back in.
And I got more awake because the sun is, you know, being blocked out by the horror weather. And for me, I'm like, oh, I can actually see for once outside.
Mm.
You know, Junior, you laughed, you scoffed, but this is exactly why you sing traveling songs. Picks up your spirits, and it keeps you walking, even when you've got days and days to go.
Mm-hmm. My favorite's left foot, right foot.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What is your favorite? You always want to sing that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one, though. Left foot, right foot? Oh. Do you know that one, Junior?
I do not. Why do you
Come
not sample it for us?
I can't believe you don't know left foot, right foot.
I believe it. I've never heard of it.
You listen to the tales, you have to have. Come on.
Come on.
It's a good ditty.
Place your left foot forward, followed by your right.
Keep
foot
marching.
You know it.
Keep marching onwards towards the brave
towards the
new
fight.
fight.
Oh.
Left foot forwards, followed by your right. And we'll hippity hop, we skippity hop, off towards the fight. Hey!
Ah, yes.
See?
Yes, you did know it.
So brilliant.
A classic.
You'll be a good vagabond.
Not too bad.
It helps a little, right?
I suppose it does.
Put your left foot forward. Hey ho.
Followed by your right.
Left foot,
Hippity hop.
right foot, it's just right.
Ah.
Never forget that line. Oh, goodness.
Oh, that's a good one. I love that one. Skippity hop, hippity hop, and then we take flight.
Speaking of flight, do you need me to scout a little forward?
And you? Has the rain given down enough?
I mean, I'll definitely be wet when I come back down, but I've flown through worse.
True.
I may have, something may have fallen into my messenger bag. Accidentally. Have a little bit of feather oil, so if you get up there and you're wings get a little bit scruffly, I've got some. I can apply it because, sometimes you need extra hands.
Oh, one additional thing I need to make note of, because I imagine Junior will find out, if not has already found out, we'll find out fairly soon. As you're going, at some point, you'll probably, put your hand in your pack or go to retrieve something. There's a little kind of, papery rustle when you, investigate it or whatever. You have this really big kind of loaf of baked kind of bread. It's like this kind of cheesy massive loaf of baked bread, which you did not pack. It is something that was very likely slipped into your pack as you received a ridiculously large hug that went on a little bit suspiciously long.
Is anyone hungry? It appears that Aunt Marigold has given me some supplies for the trip.
Well, we should go a little bit further. You've got to work on your endurance. Be getting to the dam soon.
And we don't want it to get soggy in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
I just
We
look at
learned
you
that the
like-
hard way.
Thing we don't. Well,
And I look at you and you're like, yeah, food sounds good.
I mean, it is supper time.
Well, what does our leader say?
Yeah.
Do we stop to eat or do we keep moving?
I don't know. Gwenny, what do you say?
Would you like me to take a peek at how much more we are? How much further we have to go? And by the little nod, I'll hop off the branch and then take a little running start and shake off all the water.
Yeah.
She pulls goggles down over her glasses and does a little bristle and takes up into the air just to take a peek at how far we are from the dam.
And you fly up and you pass through the canopy. As you get up over the canopy, you actually are buffeted by winds. It's fairly windy. The wind is blowing through from the south, under the canopy, but up above, it's a lot more strong, and you can see off in the distance. You've got probably maybe 20 more minutes walking, maybe around about that. If you went to a run, you could probably do it in 5 or 5 to 10. What you also see is coming behind you, well, not really behind you, coming from the side, from the south, is this heavy, dark cloud. It looks like it's raining a lot heavier. You see a couple flashes as well as lightning comes down. There's a storm incoming, and it looks like it's kind of not coming from all sides, but it's essentially big storm front. So probably in the next few minutes, it's gonna get heavier, and yeah.
Definitely seeing that, I wouldn't spend much time up there, and I come right back down. Shake off all the water again as I land, and the goggles go up. We should hurry about a pace. We're about 20 minutes out, and we're about to be approached by a very strong storm. It was not very pleasant up there. So I think snacking should happen when we arrive, after maybe a little bit of a jog or some quick movements.
Well, I know I'm hungry, so let's hurry this along. Dash, would we like to do our coveted springboard movement? And in this motion, I go ahead and grab out my branch, and I start to kind of stretch my shoulders back and kind of get the motion going like this. Do you remember? You ready for this?
Remember. Yeah.
All right.
And so I load up on back, waiting for Dash to get on the edge of this sturdy branch that I am wielding, and just waiting for his go before I decide to fling him
Sir, is this a good
forward.
idea?
Oh, they've done
Yep.
it plenty of times. Just stand back and watch.
How long ago?
Let a hippity hop on the back of the big massive branch. And I'm ready. Let's
All
go.
right. 3, 2,
Yep.
run!
Ah!
And as I catapult forward, I'm assuming Dash now also adds a little extra hop
Yep.
from it and goes flying forward. And at this point, I'm trying to think of, my strength's not fully back to what it was, so not as far forward as I would like, but let's say half the distance of what we were hoping has been traveled in that.
Okay. Yeah.
D-
Um.
What you don't know is that Dash is a bit of an expert in parkour. And so as I fling forward, right, I'm heading right towards like a tree trunk, and I sort of twist my little hair body so that I can get my little feet out, and then I bounce off of it, and you can see me just sort of like bouncing off of tree trunks down the path.
Yeah.
Hooah!
How? And so you're just like gone, you right? Like
Yeah.
you're like super
Yeah,
far
yeah,
ahead of
yeah.
us. How big is Junior compared to me?
I would say.
Like, could I pick up Junior and carry Junior?
I would say you'd probably struggle a little. In a pinch, it's very possible. I'm not sure whether you choose to.
Okay.
In general.
I was just curious. Yeah.
Junior, I think is 13, 14? 13. So at this point has, mice aren't like massive, but neither are big bee owls.
No, they're not.
So I want to feel that I'm now looking over at Junior like now it's your turn. That's where my energy is now starting to go towards. Like,
What?
Well,
I'm
you
not
want an
doing that.
adventure, right?
start to
Doesn't seem
load
very
back up
safe.
again.
Where's safety and adventure?
Aunt Marigold said to be safe.
You're with
Well,
us?
us.
The no instruction manual to use this. God.
You just do exactly what Dash did.
Come on, you've been training with Dash. You know what to do.
Oh, good lord.
I'll wait for you. Let me know when you're ready.
Junior like sits on the edge of this plank and he just sort of like braces himself.
You want more on your back hind than on your front.
Okay.
And balance yourself with your tail.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna land with your front paws.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Did you say ready?
No, not ready. Not ready.
Oh.
I'm gonna count down, okay?
Well, that makes it worse.
3,
Oh,
2,
we've
Hmm.
May, we're going on go. 2,
You already said 2.
1,
Ah,
go!
And Nay. Let's have a look here quickly. Could you please have a look here? Could you please roll me your might?
Yes. Let's see here. Is it clicking?
Yeah.
And what would that be, a D20 for that?
You should see on your little character sheet little dice, yeah.
I rolled it for you. Apologies.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did. Okay. Good.
On your character sheet, you have a might roll you can do.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay. Still.
Oh, your video has frozen again. That's a sidebar.
Oh.
Listen to Happy Freeze.
Incredibly.
I'm just demanding everything
Yeah,
of
yeah.
you right now.
Jen, you're gonna be rolling 2d6, and a 10, 11, or a 12 is a full, complete successful of joy. And like a 7, 8, 9 is like a partial, if this is like most of your PBTs, and then 1 through 6 is not what you want.
And I will say as well, because you guys can't see it on the overlay and everything, that it has very charming like little art.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. It's so cute.
I'll capture it very quickly and drop it in the Overgrown chat for anyone who wants to see what the rolls look like. As we all know, here on the Wandering Inn, rolls are used.
This is our
but
first roll of the game.
This is the first roll of the game. Yeah. I've been thinking for a while. I'm like, I should try and get a roll in at some point.
So
Just in case we don't get another one for the whole rest of the show.
let's make sure I'm doing this right. I don't know if I am.
So, if you look on your character sheet,
Which I identify.
in the top right, there is a chat bubble thing. There is like a paintbrush and
Yes.
and then next to the paintbrush there is a I need to find it. There we go. Is kind of like a book with sparkles on it.
Yes.
Click on that. You can then go down to Honey Must
Excellent.
Lay,
Look at that.
and then
Yeah.
you'll have got your stats. To the right of your stats is like a little dice thing.
So yeah, there's like 2 little dice.
So cute.
Don't mind my PC overacting right now. Well, there they are.
That freeze
As
frame
long
is
as you just
making me
make good
so...
faces like that.
Yeah. Just make sure the face is perfect for the.
We should keep this one.
Yeah, we should keep this one. Well, until we find out what the dice roll is.
All right. I think I see the dice, and I just click it once, right?
Yeah,
And you
don't-
just click it once. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, little thing, come on, scroll up. There it is. Okay. Did
Boom.
that work?
It worked. Okay. You got a 7, which is a hit. Essentially, you most likely because you don't want to. You don't want to go too strong or like essentially rocket Junior off through the canopy of the forest. You don't put your full weight behind it, but Junior, for you do go rocketing forward, kind of like trees whipping past you and everything. Not as far as Dash went. There's probably a couple of branches kind of like splash you in the face as you're going past, like you get a couple of leaves in your mouth because you forgot to close your mouth.
He's sort of like flying. And I imagine he realized where he's gonna land. Gonna try not to land on Dash.
Yes. Well, Dash has also taken off sprinting, so you did go as far. I will say, could I get a finesse from you, please?
Oh, of course, he read my mind.
Ooh. Combo roll.
Oh, pow. So I will lay down the guidelines for you landing, which is that essentially however you want to land, however badass and cool you want it to be, you can get that in. So as you feel yourself like dipping slowly towards the ground, you see the moss and the undergrowth coming towards you. There are trees around as well, so if you want to add a little flourish there, feel free. How do you land?
Well, as Junior is soaring through the air like the mighty mouse he is, he notices there's time for some acrobatics. He sort of like propels himself forwards in the air, triple somersault, lands in sort of a superhero pose. And again, looks up, goes, "Ha ha! I succeeded."
Maybe like one arm out behind, that kind of like
Yeah, like a
classic
little knelt over,
knelt
looks
and
up.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you were scared.
Scared me? Never. I'm not get scared.
Oh,
It's merely apprehensive.
I'll race you, Nay.
Race me, don't you want a catapult lead as well?
I'll just hop into the air and fly.
All right. How How about twice as many candied acorns as before?
Oh.
Mhm.
I think I'll win.
Well then, it's a race. Go!
And I obviously try to take off first because I'm a much more lumbering of a beast. It's not as graceful. It's
Yeah.
you hear it as the wetness is going on outside, and I'm just plodding along, attempting to go fast.
And I'm like up into the air as quick as I can. If I can like bounce off of Nay's back to get into the air, I not
That's
too
not
hard,
fair.
but just using you as like almost like the back end of your tail or like the back end as like a springboard to get myself just over your head to get into the air.
Hey, that's not fair.
You didn't lay the ground rules down.
Ah!
And I'm fighting the wind as I'm trying to like
Yeah.
fly forward with my little goggles on. Like, I feel like we're pretty close to speed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
think, like, I think he's bigger, but since I'm so small and fighting the wind, and I didn't get much of a dive.
Yeah.
That's what I was picturing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, at this point, you are also getting a little bit peppered by hail as the storm is picking up. And this is something I will say for, like, essentially, you guys won't know it as players. When a storm comes in, it can switch from, like, hail to snow to rain to, you know, ridiculous winds and everything. So it can get pretty wild. And as you all essentially, is everyone running at this point? I think everyone is, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, cool. Would you like a roll for everyone to see how your running is? Like, would you like a roll off, or would you like it to
Yeah.
be a bit more narrative, like based on, you know,
Roll off.
your character? Roll off.
I roll off. Yeah, I'm like, I
We're
want to know
rolling.
if I
Okay,
beat Nay.
okay. Let me
Go ahead and,
let me have a look.
Narrate mine though. Narrate mine because I'm so slow in lumber.
Okay.
Lumber.
But like, if we're
Um,
keeping up together, we can
well,
yeah,
roll
yeah.
to see who wins too between the two of us.
In-
That's fair. I like that. Okay.
In that case, for everyone who is running, unless someone feels there's a better role, I'm leaning towards just finesse, kind of straight up. I'm having a look here at the moves, and I don't see one that would really work for running.
I think that works for me.
Yeah. So for everyone aside from Nay, as long as you're competing or you're giving yourself a good run, or fly. Apologies, I don't want to be you know, give the wrong vibe for the owl. For Nay, would you please roll me wreck something? Because I feel that would be appropriate for his style of running.
All right, let me get it up. Okay.
Okay, let's have a look what we got here. We have Junior rolls a 12, a finesse, a full hit. Damn, Junior, I see why you wanted to roll. Dash gets a 7 with a hit. Winnie gets an 8 with a hit. Dash, I will give you a little bit of an advantage because you were off first, but I feel like your fair play basically meant you like slowed down so everyone else could catch up.
Absolutely.
Which
But
one
also,
am I
this
rolling?
is it.
I
Triggering
apologize.
my move, parkour. I get to hold 2 for later in case bad things happen before we get to the dam.
Gotcha,
I
gotcha.
just,
Which one
right.
is Jen rolling?
So, on the right, under basic moves, you have wreck something.
Oh,
It's
cool.
about
Okay.
halfway down.
nice.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Again, you can't see it, but there's a really cool image of like a fox with a sword, like grumpily, kind of like. Brr. That's really cool. Yes. So, Junior, possibly because you are smaller, it actually kind of helps. You are fast. You've been running around the hearth, even though you don't need to. You still run around the hearth every day, and you find yourself like I would say you probably get the impression that Dash isn't necessarily racing you full tilt, but you take the lead, and Gwynny and Dash, you're close behind. Gwynny a little bit further forward. All of the other animals, because you are now in a rush, you are kind of dodging and weaving through the trees, and like some of these on the path are a bit smaller. They've been cut back, but new trees are growing, like smaller saplings, things like that. You're kind of dodging in between them, the bushes and things. Nay, your technique for running is head down, charge forward. There is a straight line, and I shall run it. And it is think like as inevitable as like the Terminator. You pick a line, you run it straight, and any trees or saplings or bushes or animals that get in the way essentially either get brushed aside or end up kind of like stuck to you in this like wild charge. So as you break the tree line, you hear this like heavy rush of water, you know, this kind of like pouring of water through the river. Also, the ground is very wet, and the hail is starting to come down heavily with like overcast clouds, kind of like casting a shadow, a darkness over the dam. And you have, first it would be Junior seeing this, but all of you would see this as you kind of break out. There is a flurry of activity among these kind of like mounded earth homes. You know, it's very different from the hearth. This is mostly earth and a bit of wood, essentially forming these very solid like mounds of homes. There's a lot of activity around it as animals are shouting and trying to organize and all that type of stuff. As Nay crashes through the undergrowth, like lost by about 30 seconds or so, and yeah, just has that kind of like roar of this kind of like, I win my own personal race. One of the otters who is nearby spots you and kind of rushes forward and says, please, you have to help. The river's starting to flood, and the dam isn't opening.
Where?
Just there. We've been trying to get the dam to open to release the pressure on it, let the river through. But it's not opening. There's something wrong with it. It's not turning.
At this point in time, I'm kind of trying to look for the rest of my party while also taking in this new information. And do I see any of my party at this moment in time?
I would say as you're engaging with this otter, the others who were kind of nearby, just down a little ways, they kind of rush up to see what's happening and join the conversation, as it were.
Tell the rest of my party, please. Listen.
The river is rising. It's almost breaking the banks, and the dam is not opening. We can't let the excess water through. We need help opening the dam, otherwise this entire area is going to flood.
Winnie?
I'll go check the gears. And I'll, if I can, if the hail and the rain is not too hard, at least try and get up to take a peek to see if anything's stuck in the mechanism that helps the dam open.
Guinevere, Willow, Eleanor, Nightingale the Third. Please roll me.
Cunning?
I would say.
Or...
I'm not entirely sure of the exact description of it. I would say attempt a roguish feat, kind of vibes to me of like. I'm assuming it's like a physical attempt.
move.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm checking at the Tinkerer.
Oh.
Yeah,
well,
I have a tinkerer move.
So this isn't for the tinkering. This is for getting there through the wind and the hail.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
The winds
I
have
will-
picked up. The hail is a lot heavier. Flying is much more difficult. So I just want to see how you
Okay.
proceed
Question
through that.
of the lay of the land, because we came bursting through the trees and everything to get to where we kind of are. Is the land a little bit lower because we are closer to the water? So we kind of have like this slightly above look down at it?
Yes.
A little bit of an advantage? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is essentially, it's on the banks mostly along the dam. On either side of the river is all of these housing, these dens.
Perfect.
The tree line is a little bit higher up. You've got a nice little kind of look over.
So I rolled a 7.
7.
So it's a mid success. It's still a success, but I'm probably struggling.
Yes, you're buffeted a lot. You get knocked off course. You kind of have to flutter harder and push harder to get there. You do eventually sail over all the homes, all the people, and land on this kind of the edge of the dam, which has a very complicated kind of cog mechanism that essentially you kind of crank round, and it like opens up this dam, kind of opens up the grate so more water can flow through. As you land on it, you look at it and you realize like there is something wrong with the mechanism where it some of the cogs, some of the gears have kind of like got gummied up, or maybe through lack of use or something. Essentially, like it's not something you can like kind of, you know, do a quick tinker with and fix. It needs brute strength.
Okay.
Yeah, essentially you have to push through it. And as you see that, you kind of like you hear and see this kind of the water, the rush, as it starts to kind of seep up over the banks and starts to slowly like trickle out into the plains, into the kind of living area. Lightning like flies down and crashes somewhere further away, and it starts to snow. Like snow just starts to come pouring down, and like whipping around. The winds pick up as well, so the snow is kind of like dashed in your face and everything. Given your like trajectory in, like you had a bit of a look in the height, there is no end to the clouds coming in. There is very clearly going to be a buildup of water that's going to keep pouring in. It's going to overwhelm. You think you have a reason, you've got time. Like it's not going to be in like immediate, but you have a short amount of time to get this dam open or destroy it before the entire area gets flooded.
I'll dive down to the otters and to the group.
The gears are all gunged up. There's nothing trapped, but there's so much stuff stuck, like mud and other things. It just needs a really, really good push, but we don't have tons of time.
Say no more.
There's a crack and a whoosh, and the water just pours out over the side, over the banks, and rushes through the houses. The majority of the animals already having moved away from the river, like knowing that it's going to flood. The last few managed to just about get their way through before the water just rushes through, almost like a constant stream of like probably knee-high, waist-high water, depending on which animal you are. The really strong flow. As you look, you are going to have to get through the water, and you are going to have to get to the dam. You're going to have to decide whether you can fix it, or whether you just have to kind of smash it open. I will also say, at least you can see one like figure in the distance that is stood on top of their den, who didn't make it out in time, who is kind of like waving and saying, "Help! Hey! Hey!" Appears to be a mouse, I think, from this distance. And what I will say is, we will find out what happens next week.
Oh,
That's not
Because
fair.
oh,
because we have hit the point where
Say no more.
and I in a gesture of conciliatory gesture, I will ease the tense music into something a bit more chill.
Can I run really fast and then come back?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So that is the end of this episode.
I can't believe that Gwynny's dead.
I know.
Wow.
Oof.
Yeah.
Who thought she would get hit by lightning 5 times?
I know. And then she was almost going to make it. And then that large piece of hail. Oh, that was just too much.
Yeah.
That was too
Yeah.
much.
it's
What
too
happened
much.
to wholesome sheepy?
Oh, goodness.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. When you were rolling for your landing and for the strength of the throw, I was sitting here like, if it fails or if it's too strong or something, I'm so tempted just to have Junior like pastry against against a tree and die. Just like story over, everyone. The prophecy was bull.
That's not the real Junior.
my.
Where's the real Junior?
So, I am curious. Obviously, I don't expect any of you to be able to translate my ramblings, but do any of you have thoughts on the riddle prophecy little thing
Certainly.
there?
I mean, I'm seeing Dam to Dennington to the cherry orchard.
Yep.
That's how far I've gotten, but then I was just too distracted by all the drama in the game, and
That's fair.
I you know but feel like we've got some excitingness over there, right?
Yeah. This is gonna
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah.
This is gonna be good.
Yeah.
So one piece of information I can give you. Do you understand or have you translated Corby calls?
Not yet. That was the
No.
one thing that was sticking on my head. I was like, I need to.
Me
figure that out.
too.
Okay.
Hey Jen, you and I. Yeah.
I was like, wait, that's important. It's gotta be.
It
Gotta be important.
Yeah, right? Because it's capitalized.
Yes.
It feels a little bit unfair because I believe Corby is specifically a slang in Scotland for crows,
Right.
or like that,
Okay.
that type of animal. The crows, ravens, etc. They are found in vast amounts. Their main call it population is on the edge of the bone orchard. So,
Right. Right.
that would essentially imply, you're being like pelted with like their calls as you pass by them or whatever.
Or bird poop.
Yes. I think the rest of it from Love Calls You onwards is either fairly obvious or is just something that will be figured out later.
Yeah. So no, I definitely like what I'm seeing here and assuming what I'm interpreting for it. Also, I'm really either concerned or just intrigued by and hit that doesn't fit. I do feel that there's going to be something that might stymie us at some point, and not even speaking about the current moment in time, right?
Yeah,
We got this going on, so that'll be quite interesting to unravel.
Also,
I feel like the kit that doesn't fit means we're gonna get like a soccer uniform, or as the rest of the world would say, a football uniform that just it's just like it just doesn't fit. I feel like it'll probably be too tight.
Yeah.
Too loud.
Well, I mean,
and then football hooligans will show up. I don't know.
Maybe that's part of the prophecy that has already happened because you did put on your uniform and it did stretch at the it was a bit tight on the waist. So
just a little tight, not too tight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work off those calories.
Have we got super chats?
Yes, sorry. We have super chats and we have outros to do. So our super chats for today. Thank you very much, everyone, for the super chats. First up, we have the Blind Watchman with a super chat. I don't know if I'll be able to watch this all the way through, so Safi, did you see Sheepy rated the Has Been Hotel songs? What do you think about that?
We were literally talking about it before we were going live.
Yeah.
I agree with some of the choices.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the full tier list yet, so I guess I'd have to review that, see if I fully agree with all of it or not. But yes, it has already been discussed. And I'd already said to him, the whole reason I hadn't mentioned Has Been Hotel Cheapy is because I don't want to see his riveting review of how he tears it apart piece by piece, because it's something that I love dearly. You guys have already gone and done that now, haven't you? So I guess I'm going to have to encourage him to watch it anyway.
We have a thing on the patrons for certain tiers of patrons where they can do content request. It's basically like, because I only do TTRPG content now, it's like there are some people who still hang around who liked my gaming or anything else. So they basically say like, hey Sheepy, content request, do this thing. And I'll do like a 20-minute, hour-long video or whatever, like make some content on it. And they requested I review all of the Has Been Hotel songs. It was interesting. I don't feel like I got the best representation of the songs, but I did my best with what I was given.
A bit with context with the show, that
I think.
mod.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm gonna check it out because you told me to. And if you're Junior and Junior says I gotta do it, then,
it's,
well, you just gotta do it. It's just go into the
on
forest,
Prime.
find out about some kind.
It is on
Has Been
Prime.
Hotel.
addi-
Okay, cool. Thank you.
additionally, we have 2 super chats from Dan Man. I'll go through them one by one.
Ooh.
The first one is don't, in capitals, follow the lights. So that's a little tip for everyone there.
Okay.
And the second one is so honey, brackets General Andrews. What souvenir are you thinking of getting from the Old Kingdom? Also, if you see a sword in a stone, don't touch it.
Well, I definitely promise I
do.
will not be grabbing a sword in the stone. But as I am thinking about this delectable and or quite important souvenir that I will be bringing back, you will just have to tune in for that episode to find out the exactness. I don't want to spoil anything because, I mean, who even knows what's going to happen next week? Do we even make it to Dennington or not? So as I want to share it, I might be sharing it, and alas, we might never ever arrive there.
I mean, it would be cool if you found an old crown of the Badger Kingdom.
I would be very happy to find anything of great value to the Badger kind. So I'm definitely excited for when we get to Dennington.
But then again, knowing Nay to the degree I do, I could 100% see him like rooting through the tombs of the Badger Kings and finding like a like ornate crown and like an old like walking stick and being like, screw the crown, like let's take this stick, it's cool.
Yeah, there's a difference between me and Nay, right? So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
myself, I'm gonna be like, oh, the crown's great. Yeah, and Nay's gonna be like, is this one even better than my current one? Oh, all right.
Hot damn, an upgrade.
Yeah. How far can I really throw them?
Although I will say it's quite hard to upgrade from the ironwood stick. It's pretty beastly. And yes, so let's run around the cast, do some outros, and talk about them. And feel free to talk about anywhere people can find you. But also, if you want anything from the episode, feel free. Let us start off with, I think, the best teacher of the episode, which is going to be Gwynny and Elbel. You taught Sage to fly. Well,
I
to
did.
glide, but yeah.
To glide. Hi everyone, I'm Elbel. I played Gwynny for you this afternoon / evening / morning, whatever time you're watching. It was a joy. I am having so much fun playing a like kind, loving character that's not brooding in like trauma. So
Abrasive.
it's a nice change. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm ready to see where our adventure goes. And that little poem, limerick, foreshadowing prophecy, whatever you might call it, is really, really, really interesting, and I'm really, really intrigued. You can find me all over the internet as Elbel, which starts with the 3, so it also is 3 Labelle. My name's Ellie. I have ADHD, so does my content. I do a lot of different things. I talk about accessibility. We talk about pretty much anything. I'll always be talking about food, and I try any type of game. So yeah, that's me. And thank you very much, Sheepy, for putting this adventure together, and for this incredible cast that I get to RP with, because it is a blast. And your characters make my heart like, I'm like the incredible characters that you've all built. Like, I'm like, they're tangible in front of me, and it's really, 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 really cool to get to RP with you guys.
Hot potato off to someone.
Hot potato over to another wonderful teacher, and our fearless running little hair over to Trooper.
So Elbel, but with a 3, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So the band LaBelle had 3 members. So are you Patty LaBelle? Is this the thing that we are learning all along, that in secret you have been Patty LaBelle this whole time? That's cool. I've always wanted to play with Patty LaBelle, so that's awesome.
This is the deep lore that you find out, as you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm Trooper SJP. You can find me at Trooper SJP on Twitch, and Academic Foxhole on Twitter. And I do lots and lots of RPGs. I usually do 1 on my channel, although in the summer I try to get 2 in there, here and there. You can find me on Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern over on my channel. In case you want to know, this is my big Traveler game has finished. It's not over. The season's done. We're in hiatus, which means on Friday, you'll be seeing me doing a solo RPG. I'll be doing the Continuing Adventures, The Trials of Testocles, 2d6 dungeon. And Testocles talks like this, and he's a big, beefy sort of fighter who goes into the dungeon, and he tries not to die, but it's a dungeon, so you can see me there if you like. And I want to give some love to I'm going to give love all around, because that's what I do. The general for the big cannonball, slingshot, really catapult situation. That was great. And I feel like that Jen and I have not hung out forever, but I feel like that was just some foreshadowing, and there's going to be an epic moment where we need that, and that's going to be what it is.
Oh, I
so
already made
for
a note of that, and I'm like, Sheepy will remember that.
Yeah,
so
that's
good.
that one.
Oh, so good. I also, I just really love the ways in which, Sappy, you play Junior with so much bravado and no fear and no insecurity, and then we see it.
Yep.
Like, then we see the insecurity for that one little moment, like, but you're like, no, I don't have any. But then, like, you see it, like, you can see the little edge peel back, and it's just this little great subtle moment that makes me just, how do I put this? I'm sure some people in the hearth are like, wow, Junior's so annoying, but I was like, oh no, Junior needs a hug so bad. And I can't give Junior a hug right now because Junior's is like 13 and won't have a hug, but like, oh, Junior. And I just like have this love for Junior. And I just have to tell you, Gwenny, you're just the best. Gwenny's the best character ever. So much like kindness and sweetness, but also I just love the way that Gwenny covers for everybody else, right? Because some of us have had, when you were like not knowing how's that worked out for you, and I was like, fine, and you're like, has it? And I was like, no. It was just beautiful. So I want to give all of that love, and I also want to give love to Sheepy for giving us a situation at the dam that is wholesome, that is in no way a problem. We don't have people stranded and people going to lose like an entire town, losing their homes. So I really appreciate that wholesomeness right there. Yeah, that's me.
I mean, it's not like it's a horde of like evil rats like bearing down to torture and pillage and kill. So
Right.
It's a flood though.
It's a
Floods
flood.
are worse.
It is depends on the flood. Like, talk to Noah, he'll have a different opinion to like Noah's like business opportunity. Sorry, finish your.
Can I just tell you a really small thing? It's about floods.
Oh, yeah.
There's a town in Germany called Passau, and it's the Three River City because three rivers meet the Danube, the Inn, and the Elbe meet all in this one spot, and they all are 3 different colors. The Danube is blue, the Inn and the Elbe are different color greens, and you can see the 3 different colors. It's very cool. And right by that place where the 3 rivers meet is the old city hall, which they still use, but it's like medieval. It's been around for a very long time. And when I was there, I saw these little lines with these little funny numbers on the corner of the wall going up pretty high, and I was like 1126. I wonder what these numbers are. I was like, what are those? And they're like, oh, those are the years and the flood levels. And I was like, oh, so in 1426 the flood was 2 stories high, and there are not a lot of 2-story buildings in the medieval era. Oh, I see. That
Yeah.
seems bad. So I'm just noting that I feel like floods could be real bad
Floods
for
can be
this
real
otter
bad.
town. I'm
It's true.
just noting it. That's all.
And yeah, yes. Sorry.
Oh, I hot potato to my catapult friend.
Ah,
Why, thank you. I really appreciate the send off like that. Oh my goodness. But folks, just so you know, I am General Andrews, and you can find me on almost any platform with the same exact name. Thankfully, no one's been trying to take that from me. So you can find it General Andrews. If you want to watch me on Twitch, I stream usually 3 times a week. I do a lot of shared experiences, which actually is why I'm so thankful to be a part of this cast and this show, is because this is a shared experience for me, the first time I've ever done something like this. And on top of it, with just such great and enthusiastic individuals, like no matter what my gruffness of coming through of my character and being more stoic, or, you know, not always saying very much, they still ebb and flow as if like that's normal. They're used to dealing with Nay being such a rigid individual at least half of the time. So I want to thank everyone for also jumping aboard my stick of justice and letting me launch you forward for at least a couple of you. Gwenny, you know, again, I appreciate the sentiment of racing. That was perfect. And I actually also want to talk about how Gwenny, a moment that I just could not stop laughing on. I don't know if anybody else picked it up, but when Sage wanted to organize Gwenny's books, like, for me personally, knowing Elbel like I do, I was like, oh my gosh, here's a point in time where real life and the story are actually merging into one thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, Sage, don't push it, Sage.
Bleeding is character bleeding and real life bleeding coming into the moment.
that was Gwenny's mask off moment where it's like, I'm a wholesome teacher, but you just dissed my organizational like.
I also feel like that, like, in my mind of Gwenny lore, she's been fighting that her entire life of people being like, let me organize for you. So like every single time someone does it, there's like a little bit more of like, fuck off, basically.
I definitely felt that. So if that was the intention of what you were trying to get across, I definitely felt it.
Oh yeah,
and so we got pulled into that moment. So I want to
not speaking from personal experience at all.
No. Honestly, it's just an intuition going on. But yes, and then obviously, Safi, it's so good because Safi's Sassford Jr. has no bounds.
Yeah.
It has no bounds, but it always adds to the story. It's not just like happenstance and just thrown around haphazardly. It's actually always constantly keeping you in the moment, or very relatable, you know, growing up as a teenage boy myself at one point in time, that I was just like, that is so true. That is exactly how I would have acted in that moment in time, especially if I was as cool as someone who could go off on adventures. So, I just love it. So it kept me in it big time.
Did anyone else notice while you 3 were doing your like not cringe but like embarrassing adult thing, with the like preparing to do the throw, that Safi was there doing the tennis ball eyes like back and forth, just like what the hell is happening? It was such a good like teenage moment of like frozen confusion. I just wanted to say I noticed Safi, and I was holding my laughter at that moment.
With that being said, but yes, folks, if you ever want to catch me having shared moments, again, it's on twitch.tv/General Andrew or other forms of social media. Go ahead and interact with me there. I love to interact on so many different things. With that being said, let's throw this interaction on to Safi.
Thank you. I'm Safi. I play Junior. I'm gonna make this quick and speedy because I know people have to be places. You can find me at SappyPie on Twitch and Twitter. I stream very rarely, so if you do see me streaming, come by because it's a fucking rarity.
Always worth it.
And yeah, and you should see us here same time next week on Monday. Sheepy.
Hello, I'm Sheepy. This is The Wanderer again. I'm not going to keep anyone around. I'm only going to say a couple of things. Patron, website, Twitter, Discord. If you are a patron and you want to throw me a content request or you want to throw me an intro to read, the details are up there and you can always ask. And yeah, etc. etc. We do run a campaign for the patrons. It's a private session where we essentially just they're pirates and they're figuring out being pirates because they just got stranded on an island. Past that, I just want to say that I am very aware I have a time frame I'm desperately trying to stick to, and it is the most painful thing in existence to not allow, well, not allow, but to try and move things along, because the entire episode, this episode and last episode, I'm just sitting there like, I don't want to stop any of this. Like, I just want to let it keep going for 3 or 4 hours. Like, so I'm doing my best, but I'm not doing a great job of like moving things along. Aside from that, yes, thank you very much for watching. We will be back next week, and yeah, I think we'll see you then. Oh crap! I didn't get the outro. That's
Fine, we'll play it next week.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll play it next week.
Safi made
Gotta go.
the
Goodbye.
I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger traveling through this world of woe, and there's no sickness, no toil, no danger in that bright land which I'll go. Well, I'm going there to see my father. Well, I'm going there, no more to roam. I'm only going over hillside. I'm only going overgrown. Well, I know dark clouds will gather round me. I know my way is rough and steep, but golden fields lie just before me, where those who lay shall ever sleep. Well, I'm going